Chapter 86. Shen Jinyue. Relying on me is a sign of falling in love. Lu Huaiji held his breath for a moment. Upon entering, he sensed something amiss, and the woman's hurried explanations only heightened his unease. Lu Huaiji had an intense aversion to allowing emotions to cloud his judgment. He preferred to speculate on the worst possible outcomes rather than trust others. The elderly woman seemed to have never truly rejected their presence. When they expressed a desire to see her son, she instantly acquiesced. Her eagerness to describe the child's appearance revealed her sadness and insecurity. Why would she permit two strangers to visit her son? As anticipated, in the final moment, Lu Huaiji caught a fleeting glimmer of triumph in the woman's eyes. The instant he grasped Yu Yao, he noticed a sinister shift. Yu Yao turned his head, and the whites of his eyes had vanished, replaced by a deep, inky blackness. Had he been possessed? Lu Huaiji swiftly released Yu Yao's hand. They were too close. Yu Yao smirked, then seized Lu Huaiji's wrist. Without a moment's thought, Lu Huaiji tightened his grip around the woman's neck, threatening her to let go. He had underestimated the situation. Initially, he believed this narrative contained but a single villain, the emperor. Yet he overlooked a possibility. Sometimes, victims become perpetrators, and those who love them may turn into accomplices. Lu Huaiji instinctively thought that a child of 1 or 2 years posed no threat. Upon witnessing the elderly woman's gasping eyes, Yu Yao hesitated, halting his actions. Lu Huaiji continued to drag the woman, maneuvering Yu Yao backward. They maintained an eerie synchronization, retreating until they reached the doorway. Just as Yu Yao was about to step beyond the threshold, he abruptly froze. A grotesquely contorted child's body emerged from Alpha's shoulder, and in an instant, with large, dark eyes, it appeared before Lu Huaiji. The impact was overwhelming. Even Lu Huaiji instinctively recoiled slightly. The deformed child displayed a twisted grin. With the elderly woman in tow, Lu Huaiji quickly stepped back several paces. Suddenly, a familiar presence surged into Lu Huaiji's awareness. It was Sun Yu. Instead of joining the fray, Sun Yu darted toward the unconscious Yu Yao. The distance between Lu Huaiji and the distorted child shrank to less than half a centimeter as the child's emaciated hand reached for him. In that fleeting moment, Lu Huaiji surprisingly released the elderly woman. This split-second delay emboldened the child, whose expression gleamed with triumph as it lunged forward. However, Lu Huaiji merely smirked. With a single hand, he effortlessly grasped the child's spindly neck. Simultaneously, Sun Yu seized Yu Yao by the throat. In an instant, Lu Huaiji appeared behind Sun Yu, forcefully stepping on the back of his knee. Sun Yu collapsed to the ground. Disbelief etched across his face as he turned to Lu Huaiji and the child in his grasp. Have you conspired with Suzhua? It seems that Lu Huaiji has misjudged the situation. Suzhua's targets are actually Yu Yao and Qi Tingshuang. Sun Yu had previously knelt before so many witnesses, and now his words were ruthlessly exposed, causing his face to redden with fury as he bellowed, "Make a move." 3 or 4 individuals emerged behind him, swiftly encircling Lu Huaiji. With a small ghost in his grasp, Lu Huaiji faced Sun Yu and his quartet, all while needing to protect the unconscious Yu Yao. The challenge was indeed formidable. Sun Yu retaliated, forcefully pushing against Lu Huaiji's leg, rising to launch an assault. Lu Huaiji sidestepped, his gaze fixed on the deformed child in his grip. Uttering not a word, his eyelids remaining lowered, he clearly regarded the individuals before him as inconsequential. Enraged, Sun Yu and his companions exuded an even more potent pheromone. Just as their pheromones were about to converge upon Lu Huaiji, a clear voice interjected calmly, "What is happening here?" For Alphas ganging up on a single Omega, a tall figure materialized seemingly from nowhere, instantly positioning himself beside the silver-haired Omega at the center of the fray. Nonchalantly wrapping an arm around the waist of the person next to him, all impending assaults vanished before the two. "What a lively scene, little son," Shen Jinyue remarked, even taking a moment to greet Sun Yu, inquiring whether engaging in a brawl was enjoyable. Upon Shen Jinyue's arrival, Sun Yu and his trio appeared as if immobilized, unable to move. The Alpha, having delivered his statement, disregarded them entirely. He slightly tilted his head and addressed Lu Huaiji. Why not put on a facade, brother? Haven't you arrived? Lu Huaiji continued to gaze down at the deformed child he held by the neck, responding coolly, You truly are fond of me, brother. Shen Jinyue quickly retorted, Relying on me is merely a precursor to falling in love with me. Lu Huaiji paused for a moment, shifting his gaze from the child's dark eyes to Shen Jinyue. He smiled slightly. You seem to possess a leisurely disposition. Following his gaze, Shen Jinyue finally noticed the object Lu Huaiji was holding. Goodness, what an ugly child. Take it away. Shen Jinyue blurted out. Lu Huaiji's hand trembled, unable to suppress a laugh. The previously cunningly glancing, deformed child immediately sulked. The child shot a resentful glare at Shen Jinyue. What are you staring at? I've never seen a child as hideous as you. Shen Jinyue shot back defiantly. Try looking again, I dare you. Perhaps due to Shen Jinyue's overwhelming presence, the deformed child shrank back, lowering its gaze to the ground. Sun Yu and his group struggled in place, utterly immobilized. The distance between alphas is indeed vast. Shen Jinyue gestured. I would dare move against our commander Lu. What right do you grotesque beings have? Shen Jinyue maintained an even-handed approach, chastising both sides, ultimately leading Sun Yu's quartet, along with the 2.5-year-old child, to quietly bow their heads in submission. After reprimanding the 5 individuals, Shen Jinyue delivered a resounding slap to the child's head, nearly sending him flying 2 miles away. I just saw you attempt to bite our commander Lu. Do you still dare? The child was taken aback, shaking his head in dismay. Shen Jinyue's method of handling matters was chaotic, yet surprisingly effective. After giving Sun Yu and the others a thorough thrashing, he compelled the child to vow never to harass the common folk again, swaggering away with Lu Huaiji by his side. Had it not been for Lu Huaiji's recollection of Yu Yao, Shen Jinyue would have completely forgotten about the latter. He helped Yu Yao to his feet and proceeded with Lu Huaiji toward the direction from whence he had come. Was the matter resolved? Almost. Sister Qi is behind us. So I came ahead. Chapter 87. Who asked about your brother? Shen Jinyue had been scolding the little rascal for 5 or 6 minutes, and Sister Qi had yet to arrive, highlighting Shen Jinyue's remarkable foresight. The location where the deceased emperor resided housed several children, not just this one, though their bodies and limbs were slightly smaller than those of ordinary children, with disproportionately large heads. Shen Jinyue remarked that the previous little brat must have mutated. Regardless, he had confined him, so even if he harbored murderous intent, he would not escape. Shen Jinyue narrated the events in a straightforward and orderly manner. Upon hearing the entire account, Lu Huaiji inquired with some confusion. Did Suzwen not take action? No. Shen Jinyue replied nonchalantly. Just as he was about to say more, he spotted a figure approaching. He waved to Sister Qi. Sister Qi. She appeared to have rushed over, slightly out of breath. What on earth are you running so fast for? Are you off to meet a lover? Sister Qi shouted upon seeing Shen Jinyue's calm demeanor. You truly are a hopeless case. What is wrong with him? Sister Qi paused, glancing at Yu Yao. Shen Jinyue was entirely focused on Lu Huaiji, and upon hearing her words, he responded, Ah? Yes, I am meeting a little lover. Sister Qi, look, I haven't even married our brother Lu yet. What else could it be but a little lover? I don't even have a title. Shen Jinyue stated, a hint of grievance in his tone. What's the matter? Our brother Lu is perfectly fine. Sister Qi could no longer contain her irritation and slapped Shen Jinyue's hand, exclaiming, Who asked about your brother? Were you not inquiring, Sister Qi? Shen Jinyue, baffled by the sudden slap, glanced around in confusion, finally realizing he had once again forgotten about Yu Yao. He had just been possessed by a little ghost, likely affected by some malevolent herb. Before he could finish his sentence, he abruptly released Yu Yao and stepped back. Bro, you're a parasitic beast? Yu Yao, who had been unconscious, suddenly opened his eyes when Shen Jinyue looked at him. Those eyes were devoid of whites, glimmering with the same eerie brilliance as the child's. Witnessing those eyes up close was somewhat jarring. Shen Jinyue, filled with rage, slapped Yu Yao's head again, exclaiming, Is there a second little ghost? He struck again, demanding, Come out. Sister Qi stood by, utterly astonished. She opened her mouth, and then opened it again. In the end, Not a single coherent sentence could be uttered. Do not, for heaven's sake, strike him down. Do not let a single blow obliterate Yu Yao. No, it was more accurate to say, do not let her deskmates suffer 2 blows. However, despite Shen Jinyue's rather direct and forceful approach, it proved exceptionally effective. Before his 3rd slap could land, the essence within Yu Yao could no longer be contained and erupted forth from his corporeal form. Shen Jinyue's movements closely mirrored those of Lu Huaiji as he swiftly reached out and seized the child's neck, exclaiming, "Is this the twin of that grotesque creature from earlier?" The child he held bore an uncanny resemblance to the one Lu Huaiji had just apprehended. Shen Jinyue possessed unwavering confidence in his abilities, especially since he had securely contained the child moments ago, making escape impossible. Employing the same method as before, Alpha resolved the situation, giving Yu Yao's face a light slap to forcibly awaken him. When Yu Yao regained his senses, he appeared utterly bewildered, instinctively inquiring, "Why does my face hurt so much?" Shen Jinyue pointed at the child, stating, "He slapped you." Typically reserved, Yu Yao was prone to bouts of irritability without a moment's hesitation. He retaliated with a slap of his own, declaring, "This is outrageous." Qi Ting Shuang laughed heartily, while Lu Huaiji observed the entire commotion instigated by Shen Jinyue, unable to suppress a chuckle. "That's enough," he said, patting Shen Jinyue on the shoulder as he sought out his teammates to prepare for departure, leaving the other task points for others to tackle. In a virtual realm, a maximum of 5 task points could be active at once, and Shen Jinyue had just resolved 2, leaving little opportunity for others. Shen Jinyue mumbled under his breath about not having dispatched the emperor yet, but he followed obediently behind Lu Huaiji. Upon locating Xiao Heyu and Song Qi, the situation appeared rather peculiar. Song Qi held Xiao Heyu's shoulders firmly, gazing intently at him without uttering a word. This scenario bore a striking resemblance to what had transpired with Yu Yao moments prior, and Shen Jinyue nearly succumbed to impulse, ready to deliver a couple of slaps to Song Qi, but Lu Huaiji restrained him. Their intervention would surely attract wrath. Xiao Heyu seemed capable of handling the situation for the time being. The gentle Alpha remained stationary, quietly observing the opposing Alpha. Song Qi had evidently lost his wits. The Alpha who moments ago had pursued and attacked now merely held his shoulder, his Adam's apple bobbing nervously. Xiao Heyu initially intended to subdue Song Qi, but upon witnessing his expression, he hesitated, rooted to the spot. Suddenly, Song Qi leaned in closer, rapidly closing the distance between them, and Xiao Heyu could distinctly see 2 miniature versions of himself reflected in Song Qi's eyes. At this moment, Song Qi's potential for aggression was formidable, and several familiar peers from the same field urged Xiao Heyu to swiftly incapacitate him. Xiao Heyu observed quietly for a moment. The red-haired Alpha hesitated, placing his palm on Song Qi's neck, applying gentle pressure to his throat. With resolve, Xiao Heyu embraced Song Qi, his cool fingertips resting on the nape of Song Qi's neck, the friction of his fingerprints against the skin igniting a sensation of warmth. Xiao Heyu softly called out. Song Qi, the pheromones of Alpha, had become uncontrollable. The scent of other Alphas caused both Xiao and Yu to furrow their brows, their glands heating with an unbearable intensity, wishing to expel the Alpha before them from their pheromone range. Yet, they persevered, gently massaging a small patch of skin at the back of his neck, calling out in a languid and subdued tone. The frenzied Alpha paused, his fingers, which had been tightening with increasing force, suddenly stiffened, then gradually relaxed. "Wake up, Xiao," and Yu urged softly, addressing him as Little Fox. Ultimately, Song Qi released his grip, whispering, "Old Xiao." "It's me," replied Xiao and Yu. The aggression emanating from Song Qi dissipated, and he buried his head in the crook of Xiao and Yu's neck. Not far away, Lu Huaiji raised an eyebrow. Initially aligned with Shen Jinyue's thoughts, it now appeared that Song Qi's condition resembled that of a sensitive period. Shen Jinyue, not a typical Alpha himself, stroked his chin and remarked it could be a sensitive period. Qi Tingshuang, who had been observing the entire scene, felt a twinge of insecurity upon hearing their words, Isn't this a quintessential example of a sensitive period? Shouldn't we hurry over? We should teleport out first. Given Song Chi's current state, he likely won't be able to retract his pheromones in a short time, and I'm worried something might happen. What is Song Chi doing? As Qi Tingshuang spoke, he noticed that not only had Song Chi retracted his pheromones, but he was also energetically waving at them. Chapter 88. I absolutely adore you. Brother. Such a situation occurring with an alpha was utterly preposterous. Both Qi Tingshuang and Yu Yao were taken aback, and even Shen Jinyue exclaimed, "What the hell? This guy isn't a fox. He must be a turtle. You know, like a ninja turtle? This little fool's pheromones must be somewhat off," Shen Jinyue muttered. Intrigued, he took Lu Huaiji's hand and approached Song Chi, ensuring he was unharmed. Yet, he circled around Song Chi in confusion. This shouldn't be happening. Such an inconspicuous sensitive period typically manifests in individuals with exceptionally weak pheromonal strength, yet Song Chi clearly does not belong to that category. However, dwelling on these thoughts proved futile, as he needed to exit regardless. He had no desire to be struck by lightning while walking or to be startled by an entity possessed by a mischievous spirit. The task of teleportation had its constraints. The six-member team could pair off and teleport together, but only one individual could teleport if both members of a pair were present, with a 10-minute wait before the next could be sent. Teleportation itself posed no danger, but Shen Jinyue insisted on staying with his dear Lu as they prepared to depart. Qi Tingshuang, exasperated, shot Shen Jinyue a look and retorted, "Who's competing with you?" She snapped at him, then whispered 3 additional words, "Deadweight male. What are you talking about?" "He," Shen Jinyue exclaimed. Halfway through his outburst, he suddenly remembered his persona and quickly added, "All right, I didn't hear anything. I'm just a frail little alpha. Get lost." "Okay." Shen Jinyue acquiesced readily, wrapping his arm around Lu Huaiji. "Darling, let's finish up. We'll head out once they've all teleported." As Lu Huaiji was suddenly embraced by Shen Jinyue, he lost his balance and felt a slight ache. He gently tapped Shen Jinyue's hand, requesting, "Could you be a bit gentler?" "No problem, brother," Shen Jinyue promptly replied, assuring him that next time would be different. However, Shen Jinyue's promise of next time was equivalent to an absolute impossibility, prompting Lu Huaiji to deliver a playful punch. The alpha had anticipated Omega's action and chuckled as he restrained Shen Jinyue's wrist, saying, "I already agreed. Brother, why are you still hitting me?" Lu Huaiji observed as Song Chi and Xiao Heyu were teleported away, withdrawing his hand and admonishing, "Don't tease." Shen Jinyue laughed again. "All right, brother. If you give me a kiss, I won't tease you anymore." Half in Shen Jinyue's embrace, Lu Huaiji tilted his head slightly to gaze at him. Ever since their kiss in the hospital, Shen Jinyue had blushed profoundly, realizing for the first time in his life how easily he could turn crimson. Coming back to his senses, the tail of the alpha, belonging to a rare beast, perked up in excitement. With a string in Lu Huaiji's hand, Shen Jinyue would willingly let himself be tied up, filled with revolutionary fervor. If his beastly nature were not that of a pastel blue bird, Lu Huaiji would have certainly likened him to a brown, curly-haired teddy bear. The teddy bear wrapped around Lu Huaiji, blinking earnestly. Since that day, Lu Huaiji had adamantly refused to kiss him, which was quite a blow to the alpha's self-esteem. The strategy of the highly intelligent little rabbit was exceedingly challenging, far from easy to manipulate. Shen Jinyue pondered this. In contrast, he felt as though he had already won Lu Huaiji's heart in his mind, yet Lu, the academic prodigy, still would not grant him a second kiss. Lu Huaiji remained silent, his gaze fixed on Shen Jinyue's slightly flushed collarbone. Earlier, Shen Jinyue had hurried to the scene, having arrived nearly 10 minutes early, and when he wrapped his arms around Lu Huaiji, he was radiating warmth, the speed of his arrival unknown. Lu Huaiji lightly traced his fingertip along Shen Jinyue's collarbone, inquiring, "How did you get here?" Shen Jinyue momentarily paused, unsure of what Lu Huaiji meant by just now. 2 seconds later, he responded, "I flew here. There was just enough wind to make it quite fast." Lu Huaiji smirked, "You're lying to me again." Shen Jinyue chuckled. "How do you know I'm lying, brother?" Lu Huaiji did not answer but asked, "Are you tired?" "I felt quite fatigued before seeing you," Shen Jinyue replied candidly. Lu Huaiji smiled again. After a brief silence, he softly asked Shen Jinyue, "Why do you do this? Why do you always appear when I need you? Why do you never require any explanation? Why do you willingly assist me every time?" Shen Jinyue was taken aback. "Why is the topic suddenly so heavy? Do you think I'm just a sycophant?" he questioned. "Brother, do you think you're unfair to me?" Lu Huaiji looked down on the alpha, momentarily speechless and unsure of how to respond. Was he truly good to Shen Jinyue? Perhaps not. He could only treat him as he always had before. Was it really good? Lu Huaiji found it difficult to voice. "Brother, you're not even disguising it well." Shen Jinyue murmured softly, constantly devising ways to distance himself. Yet Lu Huaiji could perceive even the slightest deviation in Shen Jinyue's demeanor. Shen Jinyue was never slow-witted. Indeed, Lu Huaiji might not even be fully aware of his own affections. Otherwise, he would not allow Shen Jinyue such freedom. The kindness Lu Huaiji had shown him in childhood was something Shen Jinyue could remember for many years. "Wait a moment. Let's step outside." Shen Jinyue sought to shift the conversation, sensing that good news was imminent. Lu Huaiji responded with a nonchalant murmur, appearing indifferent to the matter at hand. Qi Tingshuang and Yu Yao had also completed their tasks, and they had 5 minutes remaining. The air in this virtual mission world was surprisingly refreshing, the sky stretching infinitely above. At this moment, the area was sparsely populated, as few had finished their tasks, thus there was no crowd to join them. Lu Huaiji tugged gently at Shen Jinyue's collar. Thinking that Lu Huaiji might wish to share a secret, Shen Jinyue lowered his gaze. Lu Huaiji tilted his head slightly, grasping Shen Jinyue's collar, and softly kissed him amidst the breeze. Despite it not being their first kiss, Shen Jinyue's body remained as rigid as before. Lu Huaiji's cool lips felt like a calming balm against his own, yet Shen Jinyue sensed an intensifying warmth within him, akin to being scorched by a fiery blaze. Ultimately plunging into a boiling sea, the heat overwhelming. Shen Jinyue's form remained tense, and after a moment of hesitation, he felt a mix of uncertainty and reverence. The Alpha gently lifted his hand, cradling the Omega's nape, deepening the kiss. Lu Huaiji initially stiffened, instinctively attempting to push Shen Jinyue away. However, he ultimately refrained, simply closing his eyes in silence, saying nothing. "I adore you, brother," he thought. Chapter 89. You two are back together. Sister Jinyue is happy again. As the two were transported outside, acquaintances began to arrive one by one. At that moment, they were still locked in their kiss. Lu Huaiji sensed the approach of others too late, and they almost got caught. The newcomers were familiar faces from the same major in year. "Is that Shen Jinyue over there?" one inquired. "Not sure, but it seems he has someone with him. Are they kissing? Oh my, is that white-haired fellow?" "Report. I suspect it's another male couple." Some exclaimed, "You two are back together. Sister Jinyue is happy again," though their voices seemed hushed. Shen Jinyue and Lu Huaiji heard every word clearly. Shen Jinyue still held Lu Huaiji's nape, and it was only after being nudged a couple of times that he loosened his grip, not having the chance to speak before the figures before him vanished. Suddenly, a small rabbit with soft pink fur appeared in Shen Jinyue's embrace. Shen Jinyue stared in silence for a moment before bursting into laughter. He could hardly contain himself, the laughter growing louder until, after a lengthy interval, he finally managed to rein it in. Onlookers watched in bemusement as Shen Jinyue laughed at nothing, almost leading them to conclude that this handsome young man was rather eccentric. In a rather peculiar turn of events, the grandson of a distinguished general appeared to exhibit some unusual traits. Shen Jinyue suppressed a chuckle, gently stroking the soft fur of the rabbit in his hands before tucking it away in his pocket, striding confidently out of the practice room. They were among the first to exit, accompanied by Shiyun and Yanziyu, and the entire practice space was enveloped in an eerie silence. At the last moment, Lu Huaiji attempted to revert to his human form, only to be restrained by Shen Jinyue, ultimately manifesting on Shen's lap. The other 4 participants had likely departed, leaving ample space behind. Shen Jinyue took his time rising, playfully pinching Lu Huaiji's tail and observing as the little rabbit's fur, which had not yet returned to its pristine white, began to blush a vivid red. It was utterly adorable. In its beast form, the rabbit could not speak. and its fluffy demeanor lacked any semblance of intimidation. Shen Jinyue mused that the inability to communicate was indeed a blessing, as the thought of animals articulating their thoughts could be quite disconcerting. The alpha cradled the rabbit, planting a couple of kisses on its head, and said, "Transform back, dear brother." However, the little rabbit had no intention of complying, raising its hind legs in a bid to escape. Shen Jinyue swiftly captured the creature, teasing, "What tricks are you trying to pull again, darling?" Even though Lu Huaiji had once transformed into a rabbit during a virtual mission with Shen Jinyue, the latter had been too susceptible to allow Lu to flee. This time, he was well prepared and easily apprehended the mischievous rabbit. "Darling, you'd better change back quickly, or I might just take you home in my pocket to keep warm." Shen Jinyue was in no rush, fixating his gaze on the little rabbit resting on his thigh. The rabbit sat upright, awkwardly adjusting its forelegs, its fur gradually shifting from white to a soft pink. "You must make a choice soon, as others may emerge at any moment, and being discovered would spell trouble." Although Shen Jinyue was not overly anxious, he relished the opportunity to tease his elder brother. In reality, even with more than 30 sets of eyes from the class scrutinizing him, Shen Jinyue could easily convince them, along with their countless acquaintances, that the little rabbit perched on his lap was merely an innocently purebred bunny. Shen Jinyue patiently waited for 3 seconds. When the rabbit showed no reaction, he placed his hand on its fluffy tail, persistently rubbing it. The pristine white fur fluffed up in protest, and the rabbit attempted to evade him multiple times, yet found no escape from Shen Jinyue's embrace. Despite holding only a rabbit, Shen Jinyue could sense a subtle, underlying menace emanating from it. This faint aura of intimidation felt entirely fitting for the creature. "Not transforming, are we?" Shen Jinyue lazily stretched his long legs and spoke, "That's fine. You must be tired, brother. Let us rest a while before venturing out again." Song Qi and Xiao Hiyu had already departed, as Song Qi's susceptibility was unstable, and he had bid farewell to the others prior to their teleportation. As Yu Yao and Qi Tingshuang exited the practice room, they spotted someone standing not far from the flower bed below. Over the past few days, Lu Yu had sought out Lu Huaiji on numerous occasions, and Qi Tingshuang had become acquainted with Lu Huaiji's alpha father. Even if Lu Huaiji refrained from articulating the nature of their relationship, the others could discern a hint of his dissatisfaction through his demeanor towards Lu Yu. They chose not to involve themselves in this matter. Lu Huaiji's discontent was his own, and after exchanging glances and a few whispered words, they turned to enter, intending to inform Lu Huaiji. Yu Yao led the way, but upon stepping inside, he abruptly halted, frozen in place like a pillar. "Goodness," Yu Yao, a quintessential contemporary university student, felt a surge of murderous intent towards everyone and everything around him. Even if the very heavens were to shatter in the next moment, he would still find time to think, my thesis can be disregarded. How splendid." At this moment, however, the student stood slack-jawed, his expression numb as he turned around. "Have my eyes deceived me? My thesis can indeed be neglected. How wonderful." "Qi Tingshuang, what on earth are you doing? What's happened? Huh? Huaiji hasn't emerged yet? Oh my goodness." Qi Tingshuang suddenly knelt, covering his eyes. "I didn't see anything." The female alpha exerted every ounce of self-control to refrain from collapsing to the ground, instead leaning against the wall and turning to leave. "We'll wait outside while you two finish your business." Qi Tingshuang hurriedly dragged Yu Yao away, leaving the room in a profound silence. Lu Huaiji sat in Shen Jinyue's embrace, enveloped in an astonishing stillness. He had been utterly devoid of patience, witnessing subtle hints of communication among the others, leading to his transformation. When he had been an omega, a mere rabbit, he found himself seated on Shen Jinyue's lap. Transforming back into a human was no different. Just as Lu Huaiji had shifted into his human form atop Shen Jinyue's legs, he instinctively attempted to rise. Shen Jinyue's reflexes were quicker. He encircled Lu Huaiji's waist with his arms. What followed was the scene that Qi Tingshuang and Yu Yao stumbled upon, both entering at the precise moment to witness the two facing each other. Lu Huaiji perched on Shen Jinyue's lap, the posture undeniably intimate. The door of the practice room emitted a thunderous sound before slamming shut. Shen Jinyue observed Lu Huaiji's momentary daze, then noticed his ears gradually turning crimson, reminiscent of a rabbit's fur blushing pink. Is it truly so easy to feel shy? Shen Jinyue mused, playfully pinching Lu Huaiji's ear. Oh, darling, it's merely a matter of being seen once. Haven't they been observing us daily? This is hardly the same situation, Lu Huaiji thought, fearing that by tomorrow, the entire school would know that he had succumbed to his feelings for Shen Jinyue immediately after exiting the virtual task world. His mind was blank as he queried Shen Jinyue, did my ears show? Indeed they did. Chapter 90. My brother pampered me and played with me. Lu Huaiji gently closed his eyes, feeling as though he had perished. No worries, brother, Shen Jinyue replied, unfazed. They are already aware of our relationship. I'll tell them later that my brother dotes on me and plays with me. Lu Huaiji descended from Shen Jinyue's lap and playfully struck him. Shen Jinyue effortlessly caught his hand, burying his face into Lu Huaiji's palm. Lu Huaiji, his ears aflame, withdrew his hand. I was hitting you, not inviting your affection. I like you. Shen Jinyue spoke with a sense of ease. Not only can you not strike me, but even if you were to present a rope, I could easily slip it around my neck. Lu Huaiji, feeling slightly uncomfortable, turned his head away. Are you a masochist? Aren't you going to hug me? Shen Jinyue inquired, then added, why do you make it sound like I am some submissive? He reflected on the fact that the nurse at the hospital had not been mistaken. It was indeed he who was the submissive, not the one being reprimanded by the doctor. Be quiet, Lu Huaiji retorted. Shen Jinyue complied, falling silent. Lu Huaiji pressed his fingers against the top of his head, missing his ears. Instinctively, he glanced at Shen Jinyue, who was laughing. The alpha hung his head, shaking with laughter, his shoulders trembling noticeably. Are you deceiving me? The Omega furrowed his brow, questioning him. Shen Jinyue replied candidly. If it were true, how could I possibly not shield you, dear brother? Lu Huaiji paused, rendered speechless. Shen Jinyue rose to his feet, and together they made their way outside. Qi Shuang and Yu Yao stood sentinel outside, resembling guardians, their expressions serious as they surveyed the area. It appeared that should anyone attempt to enter, even Old Li would be forcibly kept at bay until Lu Huaiji and Shen Jinyue were finished with their affectionate exchange. Lu Huaiji, originally walking ahead, noticed this and discreetly stepped back, allowing Shen Jinyue to advance. Shen Jinyue playfully wrapped his arm around Yu Yao's neck. Thanks, brother. Are you waiting here for us? Qi Shuang could hardly bear to see Shen Jinyue and Lu Huaiji together. He covered his eyes and pointed downstairs, regarding Huaiji's matter. See if you want to address it. If not, Yu Yao and I can help you chase him away. Lu Huaiji shook his head. Let us go. Qi Shuang and Yu Yao dared not utter a word and proceeded downstairs. Lu Huaiji and Shen Jinyue followed them down. Halfway down, once the figures of the two in front were out of sight, Lu Huaiji asked, the good news you mentioned is that they are getting divorced tomorrow, correct? How astute you are, brother, Shen Jinyue replied, not surprised, praising him. No wonder you were in a rush. Just as Lu Huaiji reached the bottom of the stairs, Lu Yu spotted him and immediately approached. Lu Huaiji took 2 steps back. Shen Jinyue casually wrapped his arm around Lu Huaiji, exclaiming in astonishment, brother, you are so eager for an embrace. Lu Yu's expression darkened, but Shen Jinyue seemed oblivious to Lu Yu's presence. Come on, brother, why are we stopping? Because I have matters to discuss with my son. Lu Yu's voice was laced with barely concealed annoyance, emphasizing the word son. Shen Jinyue, ever the curious one, blinked innocently and asked, who is speaking? Uncle, is that you? If I'm not mistaken, I am now an adult, and our brother is also of age, correct? He turned to Lu Yu, and you and Uncle Jing are about to get divorced, yes? Lu Yu replied, as long as I'm not divorced today. This is a family matter of ours. You should mind your own business. Shen Jinyue blinked again, innocently and earnestly inquiring, but you are getting divorced tomorrow, right? Moreover, our Huaiji can decide whether or not to still call you father. Before Lu Yu could respond, Shen Jinyue continued, if I were to knock you unconscious, and you remain that way until tomorrow, would that not be considered my business? As Lu Huaiji contemplated taking a step forward, he instinctively dodged just a second before Lu Yu cast a glance at Shen Jinyue, who was embracing him. Shen Jinyue, with a swift motion, drew Lu Huaiji into his arms, holding him without a hint of reservation, while his gaze remained fixed on Lu Yu. The playful glimmer in his eyes gradually faded, replaced by a solemn expression. After a moment, he let out a deep, measured laugh. Uncle Lu, as 10 years have passed, you still embody such a masculine disposition. Do take heed, Uncle Lu, he continued. I am merely cradling Huaiji. Were you pondering at this moment? Are you weighing the worth of your Omega son? Upon uttering this, the Alpha released his hold on the Omega's shoulder and stepped forward, obstructing Lu Yu's line of sight. It seemed from the very beginning, Lu Yu had no intention of confronting Shen Jinyue, whether through words or actions. Perhaps it was out of respect for Shen Jinyue's esteemed lineage and his formidable reputation as the foremost in the empire. Or perhaps it was simply due to the nature of his Alpha identity. Lu Huaiji mused that he and Jing He, as Omegas, were inherently beneath Lu Yu's regard. It was only when Shen Jinyue seized Lu Yu by the collar that Lu Huaiji snapped back to reality. The imposing presence of the Alpha, towering over 1.90 meters, was impossible to overlook at that moment. He lowered his gaze slightly, fixing it upon Lu Yu, his fingers tightly gripping the collar, veins protruding starkly against his hand. The Alpha's light brown eyes, concealed behind silver-framed glasses, betrayed no emotion as they scrutinized the man before him, who was notably shorter. Suddenly, a smirk graced his lips as he softly inquired, "How many lives could I claim with a single punch?" It appeared that Lu Yu only then sensed the gravity of fear. Trembling, he forced himself to ask, "Do you dare?" He attempted to avert his gaze towards Lu Huaiji, but Shen Jinyue's formidable stature obstructed him, standing like an unyielding wall. "Why would I not dare, Uncle Lu?" Shen Jinyue chuckled absurdly, calling him softly. "When you direct your aggression towards your own son and husband, were you not bold?" Lu Yu's brows furrowed suddenly. He was a man of great pride, and despite his disdain for Omegas in private, he would never display such contempt in public. How did Shen Jinyue come to know this? Did you ever consider whether you dared when you sent your son to find me after his transformation into an Alpha? Shen Jinyue tightened his grip, causing Lu Yu to grimace in pain. Lu Huaiji, who had remained silent, suddenly shuddered. He lifted his head abruptly, gazing at the towering figure of the Alpha. Lu Yu had only uttered those words the day before he was to move away. How could Shen Jinyue possibly know? You birthed him, yet you wished to control every facet of his existence. When you realized you had raised such a sensitive son, did you ever ponder whether you dared? Shen Jinyue's words quickened, his tone deepening significantly. When I declare that I wish to end your life, how can you ask me if I dare? Chapter 91. Little Shen, I have been confessed to by my arch-nemesis. The sun blazed fiercely, and the sounds of bustling pedestrians filled the air. As Shen Jinyue helped Lu Huaiji out of the car, the sun was already high in the sky, yet the temperature remained mild. Adjusting Lu Huaiji's scarf, Shen Jinyue guided him inside. Under Shen Jinyue's watchful gaze, Lu Yu did not stir up any trouble. The previous afternoon, Shen Jinyue had slightly lost control of his emotions, uttering harsh words that likely frightened Lu Yu. The sentiments Lu Yu intended to express to Lu Huaiji went unspoken. Of course, Lu Huaiji had no desire to hear them. Today's proceedings unfolded with remarkable smoothness, and Jing He signed the documents without any hesitation. In a final attempt to retain Jing He, Lu Yu feigned deep emotion. Jing He paused in place, holding a cup of warm water handed to him by a staff member. The water, pleasantly warm, comforted him as it seeped into his heart. Standing in the cold breeze that swept in from outside after ending a 20-year marriage, the man appeared tall and elegant, his expression pale yet gentle. 23 years ago, he had trusted you once, and that was sufficient. Jing He lowered his gaze, concealing the emotions within his eyes. Before marriage, Lu Yu had treated him exceptionally well. He was attentive enough to check the temperature of the water he handed over and insisted on finding the most suitable writing instrument. Each time he trained late into the night, Lu Yu patiently waited for him, adjusting the water temperature and meticulously caring for all his needs. During that period, being with him brought genuine joy to Jing He. He had never cooked. Everything was managed by Lu Yu. Whenever Jing He casually mentioned a craving in the dead of night, Lu Yu would immediately rise and venture out, regardless of the distance, to fulfill it. Even the countless vases filled with flowers in the living room were carefully purchased by Lu Yu after observing Jing's preferences and habits. How could such a meticulous person have changed so drastically? After the birth of Lu Huaiji, Jing had lost all hope for Lu Yu. He had contemplated cutting his losses, considering a direct divorce with Lu Yu while taking Lu Huaiji with him, but that felt too simplistic. Lu Huaiji needed Lu Yu's pheromones to thrive. Thus, Jing endured for quite some time. Eventually, Lu Yu's demeanor shifted again, returning to the affection reminiscent of their pre-marriage days. Yet, they still arrived at this juncture. So be it, Jing sighed. Throughout the ordeal, Lu Huaiji had remained silent, stepping forward to gently embrace Jing. Once, Jing had been the object of admiration for everyone at the Imperial University. In those days, he was spirited and adored by many. His brilliance was so profound that even when Lu Huaiji glimpsed Jing's name on the honor wall of the Imperial University, he could see the exuberance of Jing from 2 decades prior. As Shen Jinyue and Jing exited, Lu Huaiji took a deep breath. Shen Jinyue always played the role of the atmosphere lifter. Today, he was well prepared, ensuring the three of them did not stand by the roadside waiting for a vehicle. He opened the door to his car, inviting both into the vehicle. Jing settled into the front passenger seat, while Shen Jinyue climbed in after Lu Huaiji. Immediately sitting close to him, Lu Huaiji leaned back, closed his eyes for a moment, and slowly opened them again to find the Alpha's head nestled against his neck. After observing for a while, he suddenly fell silent. A delicate Tyrannosaurus Rex? What a curious new description. Shen Jinyue leaned his head against Lu Huaiji's neck and turned it slightly, deciding to accept whatever his brother said. Lu Huaiji gazed at him for a moment in silence. Shen Jinyue looked up at Lu Huaiji in this position, his expressive eyes wide and eager. Is there something you wish to convey, brother? Lu Huaiji gently inquired. Are you aware of everything? He knew about the confrontation with Lu Yu that day, what Lu Yu had said to him, and even that Lu Huaiji intended to leave. Shen Jinyue, almost without hesitation, replied, No, brother, I merely guessed. Lu Huaiji asked, Do you know what I meant? Shen Jinyue responded, I don't know. Let me ask the instructor. But the instructor didn't say anything either. Lu Huaiji fell silent for a moment before suddenly smiling. Shen Jinyue, he called. Brother? Shen Jinyue swiftly turned around and planted a kiss at the corner of Lu Huaiji's mouth. What's the matter, brother? Thank you, Lu Huaiji said. Shen Jinyue paused, momentarily taken aback. He playfully pinched Lu Huaiji's chin and teased. What for? Marry me? Lu Huaiji tilted his head and chuckled. If anyone is to marry, it would be you. Shen Jinyue propped himself up on his elbows to gaze at him. Then, after a moment's struggle of less than half a second, declared, All right. Whatever my brother says goes. The car soon arrived at the restaurant, and the three of them enjoyed a meal together. As Jing prepared to head home, Lu Huaiji felt a twinge of concern and decided to accompany him. Shen Jinyue watched his brother's departing figure with a pitiful gaze, feeling a sense of grievance as he sighed softly. Just then, Lu Huaiji turned back suddenly. Shen Jinyue quickly masked his expression of distress. Lu Huaiji paused, gestured towards his phone, and offered him a slight smile before turning away. Shen Jinyue stood in silence for a moment, momentarily stunned. After imagining Lu Huaiji's smile on loop in his mind, he finally grasped what Lu Huaiji was trying to convey. Shen Jinyue slowly picked up his phone. Lu Huaiji had sent him 2 messages. See you on Monday. Just as Shen Jinyue finished reading this message and was about to respond, another message from Lu Huaiji appeared. I like you too. Chapter 92. Little Shen and his nemesis are together now. During a break between classes in Class S1, the classroom was bustling with students coming and going. Today happened to be particularly chilly, and in just a few minutes, the student from Class 1 settled in and did not emerge again. There were only 2 empty seats left in the classroom. At the end of the corridor, lush green leaves concealed the view. Shen Jinyue cornered Lu Huaiji against the wall. Lu Huaiji's back rested against the railing, and he uncomfortably nudged Shen Jinyue. Shen Jinyue held Lu Huaiji's hand firmly, bending one long leg to ensnare Lu Huaiji in his embrace. Brother, what does it mean that you've been avoiding me these past few days? Lu Huaiji leaned against the wall, feeling a bit cold, and struggled a couple of times in vain. After staring at Shen Jinyue for a long moment, he sighed, "Let go of me." This statement from Lu Huaiji felt like a silent rejection. Shen Jinyue's eyes dimmed with disappointment, and he lowered his gaze, releasing Lu Huaiji's hand. Why is he beginning to feel sorrowful? Lu Huaiji gently patted Shen Jinyue's shoulder and asked with a hint of amusement. Shen Jinyue blurted out, "Because you are avoiding me." "I am not avoiding you," Lu Huaiji replied. "I merely had a sudden thought." "What thought?" Shen Jinyue inquired. "Didn't you say you wouldn't seek out any Omega but me?" "That was due to my illness." Shen Jinyue shivered slightly and immediately responded. Lu Huaiji couldn't help but chuckle. "Have you no shame, General Shen? If I can have you, what need do I have for pride?" Shen Jinyue nestled his head against Lu Huaiji's neck, nuzzling like a clingy puppy. Shen Jinyue was quite adept at pressing his advantage. Upon hearing Lu Huaiji's words, he sensed a glimmer of hope and persisted. "Shall we be together, brother? I truly adore you. Brother, grant me a chance to be with you for a lifetime." Lu Huaiji teased, "How uncouth. What do you wish for?" Shen Jinyue gazed at Lu Huaiji with a hint of grievance. He nuzzled Lu Huaiji's neck again, clasping his hand, warmth occasionally brushing against Lu Huaiji's sensitive skin. "Brother, I genuinely like you," Shen Jinyue earnestly declared. "Let us be together. Will you agree?" Lu Huaiji felt a ticklish sensation from Shen Jinyue's breath. He tilted his head back, unable to evade. "Stop nuzzling, all right?" Shen Jinyue suddenly halted, looking at Lu Huaiji in confusion. After a moment, he comprehended Lu Huaiji's words, his entire being, along with his pheromones, buzzing with excitement. He quickly leaned in and pressed his lips against Lu Huaiji's, then darted away. Lu Huaiji was momentarily stunned by the warmth on his lips, then, with a bemused glance at Shen Jinyue, turned to leave. Shen Jinyue, however, was not willing to let Lu Huaiji escape so easily. Upon hearing Lu Huaiji's affirmative, he was practically overjoyed and pressed in for another kiss. Lu Huaiji tried to evade, but ultimately failed to escape Shen Jinyue's affections. Shen Jinyue's tousled hair was a testament to their playful encounter. Eventually, Lu Huaiji ceased to resist, passively accepting Shen Jinyue's kiss, nearly transforming into a flustered rabbit in the process. It was only when the class was about to commence that Shen Jinyue finally released Lu Huaiji. Lu Huaiji's lips were slightly reddened. Even the corners of his eyes bore a faint blush as he leaned against the wall, observing Shen Jinyue. "Are you a puppy?" "Puppies bite those they dislike." Shen Jinyue leaned closer. "I am no puppy, brother." "Stop nuzzling," Lu Huaiji said, a hint of helplessness in his voice as he nudged Shen Jinyue. "Let us return to class." Shen Jinyue cheerfully agreed, trailing behind Lu Huaiji, who had flushed ears. Throughout his life, he seldom cherished anything deeply. Mountains were mountains, water was water. In his eyes, experiencing something was enough. Shen Jinyue laquait de romantique disposition. The only memory he truly wished to preserve was of the slender figure he saw depart when he was 7. At that moment, they had parted ways. The youth yet to transition into an Omega, and none could foresee what the future held. The youth did not look back, and Shen Jinyue merely watched in silence. Too quiet for words. On that day, he pondered. He traverses mountains and rivers, crossing boundless seas to approach his stars. 1,000 shadows entwine the world. The butterflies resting upon Lu Huai's shoulder become the final frame of a stuttering film. The scene freezes. In Shen Jinyue's lens, that familiar figure has vanished. Regret may be an inevitable lesson of youth. Yet for Shen Jinyue, this lesson arrived too early. He was unprepared, with no countermeasures, as the movie abruptly paused. "But you and I, we shall never fade away." His film merely halted. In the depths of winter, he perceives my entrapment in the chill, offering love without reservation. Shen Jinyue understands what Lu Huai wishes to inquire. Does he know? He is aware of everything that transpired on the day Lu Huai chose to depart. He saw it all with clarity. What was he thinking at that moment? Let us strengthen this resolve. When I find him again, I shall become the shadow that envelopes him, for where there is light, he cannot be driven away, because he exists within the light. Alpha, feeling invigorated, pushed open the classroom door and greeted the teacher, who had arrived early, with a cheerful demeanor before crossing the podium to take his seat. Song Chi was engrossed in a game, lifting his head to invite Shen Jinyue to join. Shen Jinyue, in high spirits, responded, "Today, I shall lead you." "What good fortune has befallen you today, Shenge? Why so cheerful?" Song Chi exclaimed in surprise. Upon noticing Shen Jinyue's expression, he gasped, "What happened to your mouth? Are you unwell?" Shen Jinyue gazed meaningfully at Song Chi, who felt bewildered and instinctively recoiled. "What is the matter? You would understand." Shen Jinyue elongated his tone. "This is a lifelong emblem possessed by an alpha. It is the highest honor of an alpha. Even with a sore mouth, I can still achieve it." While Song Chi was immersed in his game, he boldly retorted, leaning back against Xiao and used legs, but quickly corrected himself. Song Chi sat upright abruptly, and due to the swift motion, Xiao and Yu had no time to evade. Song Chi's hard teeth collided with Xiao and Yu's chin, causing both alphas to gasp in unison, a calamity unforeseen. Xiao and Yu suppressed a gasp, wrapping an arm around Song Chi's waist. "Did you truly think I was your bed?" Song Chi, in pain, teared up, exclaiming in distress and hurriedly apologizing to Xiao and Yu. As Shen Jinyue awaited the game to commence, he let out a hiss. "Why so agitated? Just watching it makes me ache." Song Chi's apologetic gestures halted abruptly. He suddenly turned his head, exclaiming, "Lu Ge! Turn around!" His shout resonated throughout the classroom, drawing the attention of nearly all his classmates. It took Song Chi a moment to realize, and his voice diminished instantly. Lu Huai turned his head, his expression unreadable. Song Chi glanced twice, clearing his throat. "What do you wish to say?" Lu Huai inquired. Song Chi shrank back behind Xiao and Yu. Shen Jinyue also leaned back, hiding behind Lu Huai, wearing an expression of innocent ignorance, as if to say, "I know nothing. Indeed, I am merely a pretty yet useless little alpha." He crossed his arms, raising an eyebrow with feigned innocence. "You too." Song Chi voiced his grievances, questioning whether they were indeed together. Lu Huaiji cast a fleeting glance at Shen Jinyue. Shen Jinyue immediately responded, "Brother, I am unaware." His demeanor was as if he were publicly declaring their relationship, making it evident to anyone, including Song Chi. Bolstered by newfound confidence, Song Chi sprang to his feet, exclaiming, "You've been seeing each other behind our backs, haven't you?" Lu Huaiji simply affirmed, "Yes." The commotion caused by Song Chi's outburst drew the attention of numerous classmates, and upon hearing Lu Huaiji's admission, several gasped in astonishment. Those who remained composed offered Song Chi a thumbs up. Song Chi slumped back into his chair, his expression one of disbelief as he gazed at Lu Huaiji and Shen Jinyue. Taken aback by Lu Huaiji's unreserved acknowledgement. Typically exuberant, akin to a lively monkey, Song Chi now found himself rendered speechless. Shen Jinyue gazed at Lu Huaiji with affection, realizing that he need not resort to coaxing. Their brother would naturally indulge him, for he was fortunate to have an older brother. For a prolonged moment, Song Chi found himself at a loss for words, and after an eternity, he attempted to salvage the situation. His phone briefly illuminated, but the words he wished to express became lodged in his throat, a sensation unlike any he had previously experienced. He lowered his gaze, unusually silent. Xiao and Yu exchanged glances, momentarily observing Song Chi with his head bowed, lips pressed together, his expression peculiar. He neither spoke nor met their gaze. After a gentle glance, Xiao and Yu redirected their attention, inquiring, "Does it still hurt?" "What's the matter?" shouted Xiao. Song Chi turned his head, his expression unchanged, replying, "I am fine. You know I can endure pain well. Does her jaw still ache?" Xiao and Yu shook their heads, then asked, "About the sensitive period, does it still hurt?" Song Chi paused again before responding, "It's manageable. My father provided me with some effective medication." Xiao and Yu acknowledged with a sound, pondering for a considerable time before asking, "Why was your sensitive period so painful?" An alpha's sensitive phase typically does not manifest such intensity of discomfort as Song Chi experienced. Qi Tingshuang and others were intrigued by Song Chi's symptoms during this phase, and so was Xiao and Yu. After a moment of contemplation, Song Chi replied, "Perhaps my constitution is somewhat frail." Xiao and Yu nodded, refraining from further inquiries. Since Liu Yu and Jing He's divorce, Liu Huaiji's demeanor had markedly improved, no longer displaying the same level of distress as before. He no longer fixated on his phone late into the night, seemingly grappling with unspoken words for someone on the other end. Shen Jinyue discreetly released a breath, having withdrawn his gaze from Liu Huaiji. Days passed, and their lives took on an unexpectedly tranquil rhythm. Liu Yu had not sought out Liu Huaiji, and those who had previously plotted against Shen Jinyue were now deterred, perhaps intimidated by their prior encounter. Regardless, Shen Jinyue had no intention of entering the military, as the only connection his family had to the military was his grandfather, a general. The emperor could hardly dismiss a general based on the impulsive remarks of a mere adolescent, even if Shen Jinyue's words were not mere bluster. However, since he had not taken action, whether his intentions were genuine remained at Shen Jinyue's discretion. If one wishes to wield power over others, one must not be surprised by the existence of greater forces beyond the mountains. Those endowed with true capability can afford to disregard any semblance of authority. Who would not be apprehensive of Shen Jinyue's formidable pheromone index, teetering on the brink of a breakthrough? At that moment, Liu Huaiji found himself seated on the sofa, engrossed in a book, as Shen Jinyue sauntered past him for the fifth time, bare-chested. With a hint of exasperation, he rubbed his temples and inquired, "Are you not going to review for your exams?" The first half of their junior year had silently slipped by, and after several days of examinations, they faced the final subjects that afternoon. At last, noticing that Liu Huaiji's attention had shifted to him, Shen Jinyue abruptly perched himself beside his brother. "Brother, I have something to discuss." Liu Huaiji turned his head slightly. "There's a piece of bad news, followed by a worse one." Liu Huaiji stammered. "You're not allowed to say anything more. You must leave." Shen Jinyue whined. "Then let us elope, brother." Shen Jinyue regarded him, his expression devoid of jest. Liu Huaiji paused, adopting a more serious demeanor. "What is it?" "The worst news." Shen Jinyue raised a finger. "My father and grandfather wish to meet you tomorrow." The book in Liu Huaiji's hands snapped shut with a resounding thud. He turned to face Shen Jinyue, who nodded vaguely. "Yeah, they seem to have found out for some reason." "Then, my sister suggested that we should go out for a few days, just like the last time she came to fetch me." His uncertainty about what they truly knew lingered in the air, and Liu Huaiji met his gaze. Remaining silent for a moment, the book forgotten. "Tomorrow?" "Yeah, my grandfather mentioned he would be available." Shen Jinyue continued. "Initially, they wanted to observe you discreetly, but I thought you might not appreciate that, so I dissuaded them." "Why?" Liu Huaiji organized his thoughts and asked, "They wish to see me? Perhaps they are curious to discover who could possibly win over someone like me." Shen Jinyue gestured, delicately hinting, "A lunatic." In the eyes of General Shen, anyone lacking vigor in service to the empire was deemed mad. Shen Jinyue, from a young age, had dismantled devices and climbed trees, nearly adorning mouse holes with gilded edges. In General Shen's perspective, this behavior was undeniably eccentric, truly mad. Unbeknownst to Liu Huaiji, the traditions of the Shen family were peculiar, and he chuckled softly at the remark. "If you are unwilling, we can elope tonight," Shen Jinyue proposed. "No need." Liu Huaiji pondered for a moment and replied. Shen Jinyue appeared taken aback by Liu Huaiji's decision. Just as he was about to speak, Liu Huaiji stood, kneeling beside Shen Jinyue, enveloping the alpha in his embrace. He lowered his head slightly, gazing into Shen Jinyue's eyes. The visage of Omega, when viewed closely, was strikingly impactful. Shen Jinyue, momentarily taken aback, felt Liu Huaiji's warm lips brush against the corner of his own, a fleeting connection. Liu Huaiji whispered to him, "So soon? You've informed your father when do you plan to marry me?" It was Liu Huaiji's request to keep this from their families, as he feared that once they were aware, it would lead to complications. He was uncertain how long he and Shen Jinyue could navigate their relationship. "Because I prefer to act first and inform later," Shen Jinyue replied. "Even if you decide to cast me aside one day, I must first tell my father." On our very first day together, they were all aware of it. Chapter 94. Shen Jinyue. Husband. "Husband, please say something." The Omega clearly stiffened for a moment, lowering his head to gaze at Shen Jinyue, remaining silent. "Do not look at me like that, brother," Shen Jinyue remarked. "I absolutely adore this angle." Lu Huaiji remained silent for a long time before asking, "Have you truly resolved to spend your life with me? Are you not afraid of my potential betrayal?" Shen Jinyue pondered for a moment, then embraced Lu Huaiji's waist. If brother were to betray, he would never have agreed to me. In any case, I will not break up with you, even if you contemplate betrayal. I shall not permit it, he declared. What I have awaited since reaching adulthood is something I will not relinquish. Lu Huaiji was silent for quite some time. He maintained this position, encircling Shen Jinyue for about a minute, before softly replying, "All right." Lu Huaiji was indeed someone who rarely made promises. To him, a promise held greater significance than anything else. Shen Jinyue was correct. If Lu Huaiji had not made up his mind and merely sought to toy with Shen Jinyue, he would not have needed to deliberate for so long. He would have simply rejected him, telling Shen Jinyue to leave, erecting high walls around himself to isolate everyone from his world, making it impossible for Shen Jinyue to enter. The fact that Lu Huaiji took such time to contemplate assuredly indicated his seriousness. "I will not either," Lu Huaiji murmured. He leaned down to kiss Shen Jinyue gently. He seldom expressed such sentiments and found it distasteful to do so. For Lu Huaiji, uttering such words was undeniably shameful, and he felt slightly uncomfortable even as he spoke them. Shen Jinyue could no longer contain himself and wrapped his arms around Lu Huaiji's waist. Lu Huaiji shivered slightly, but ultimately did not pull away, saying, "Then you need not return with me." The conversation shifted abruptly, prompting Shen Jinyue to instinctively ask, "What?" Lu Huaiji pressed down on Shen Jinyue's hand, contemplating for a moment before stating, "My father has long been aware." Before Shen Jinyue could respond, Lu Huaiji continued, "I had initially planned to introduce you to my parents later, but now there is no need to do so in such a manner." Shen Jinyue exclaimed. The Alpha's decision to act in such a way was surely voluntary, yet he had not anticipated Lu Huaiji would do the same. A gentle tug stirred within him. After finishing his words, Lu Huaiji stood up, preparing to return to his room. He walked briskly, exhibiting an air of urgency. Clearly, the previous exchange had left him feeling awkward. The Alpha paused, finally realizing but did not pursue, leaning against the sofa and calling out, "Brother, how can that be? If you were to marry me, why not take me to meet our father?" Lu Huaiji's movements halted momentarily. Shen Jinyue added, "No matter how unappealing I may be, I must meet father, brother. After all, I am to be the future daughter-in-law of your family. How could I not be presented to Uncle Jing? Right, brother? Husband?" Lu Huaiji's actions completely ceased. After 2 or 3 seconds, the Omega turned his head, lightly placing his finger on his lips. "Do not call me that again. Otherwise, you shall not be allowed to share a bed tonight." Shen Jinyue. On the very first day of winter break, young Master Shen felt the person he was embracing leave the bed before dawn. The Alpha, still half asleep, reached out with a long arm to glance at his phone. Assuming his brother had merely gone to fetch some water, and promptly closed his eyes to resume his slumber. After some time had passed, the Omega, who ought to be nestled in his embrace, had yet to return. The Alpha, feeling around him, finally opened his amber eyes and glanced toward the door. Lu Huaiji had been preening in front of the mirror, scrolling through his phone, watching television for a moment, and then making a trip to the restroom. Shen Jinyue had initially been quietly observing the Omega's face when, after a couple of seconds, he pondered. Why was his brother up so early engaging in such mundane activities? Could it be that his brother, now in a relationship, had become like this? Shen Jinyue remained still, lying in bed for a while longer, until he noticed Lu Huaiji gently squeezing his palm, realizing that the latter seemed to be feeling anxious. Shen Jinyue caressed his fingertips and chuckled silently. He sat up, yawned, and stepped outside to envelop Lu Huaiji in his arms, asking softly, "Brother, what troubles you?" The Alpha's eyes still held a hint of sleepiness, appearing somewhat bright, as if he had yet to fully awaken. Shen Jinyue promptly carried Lu Huaiji back to bed, insisting, "It's too early. Let us sleep a little longer." Lu Huaiji pressed his wrist gently, saying, "You sleep? I can't anymore. I'll get up shortly." "Brother." Shen Jinyue rested his chin on Lu Huaiji's shoulder, his voice soft and close. "There's something from last night I haven't told you." He had mentioned a piece of bad news and an even worse one. seemingly only sharing the latter. Lu Huaiji tilted his head, inquiring, "My sensitive period is approaching, brother," Shen Jinyue spoke candidly. In that instant, he felt the person in his arms stiffen momentarily. Shen Jinyue chuckled, nuzzling into Lu Huaiji's neck, saying, "Sleep now, brother." This time, Lu Huaiji did not respond further. His body gradually relaxed, and he fell into a deep slumber. It was not until Shen Jinyue's alarm clock rang that they both got up to wash up. Shen's father and General Shen were already awaiting their arrival. As Lu Huaiji stepped out of the car, he immediately sensed the imposing atmosphere within. Two individuals stood at the entrance, appearing disciplined and upright. The hand that Shen Jinyue held subtly shifted. "Brother?" Shen Jinyue called out to him, waving his hand. "Step back. Step back. Don't stand guard. Go have your meal and don't frighten anyone." The two guards at the entrance saluted Shen Jinyue and departed. Shen Jinyue adjusted Lu Huaiji's scarf, reassuring him, "Don't be nervous. Once you enter, I promise my father and grandfather will rise to greet you immediately. There is no need for pressure." Lu Huaiji replied, "I wasn't feeling pressure before, but I am now." The Shen family villa was grand and opulently decorated, presenting an impressive sight at first glance. Shen Jinyue was indeed correct. As soon as Lu Huaiji and Shen Jinyue stepped inside, Shen's father and General Shen, who had been chatting on the sofa, both rose simultaneously. Two alphas, one a decisive figure in the military and the other a formidable presence in the business world, exhibited no trace of pressure on their faces at that moment. One of them, with a warm demeanor, called out little Lu. Lu Huaiji had met General Shen in his childhood, though he had seen the general far less frequently. After exchanging greetings, he settled down beside Shen Jinyue. Shen Jinyue also greeted him, crossing his legs as he poured a glass of warm water for Lu Huaiji and handed it to him. "To be honest, I have always liked you as a child. I never expected you and Jinyue to be so fated." General Shen chuckled, adding, "This boy has good taste in developing feelings for you." "Oh dear," Shen Jinyue interjected, feeling a bit embarrassed as he listened. "Dad, stop pretending. Just admit it. It was I who wanted to sit next to Huaiji at the Imperial University, and you were more than happy to facilitate that." Chapter 95. They say you love me to the point of desperation. "You rascal." General Shen's polite remarks were abruptly interrupted by his son, nearly compromising his paternal image in front of Lu Huaiji as he shot a glare at Shen Jinyue. Shen Jinyue had clearly regarded Lu Huaiji as the only non-Shen member of the Shen family, thinking to himself that his father's pretense was futile. After all, the last time he brought home that rabbit, it was indeed their family's academic prodigy. His father had openly stated in front of that very rabbit that the reason for sending Shen Jinyue to the Imperial University was to pursue the elite Omega, Lu Huaiji. There was no hiding that. "How many years have we known each other, Dad? Stop pretending." General Shen shot him another glare, finding himself at a loss for polite words. He only wished to give his eldest son a good slap. "Go on and prepare a couple of dishes. The kitchen has an Annie, so you can assist her. Make sure to learn how to cook properly." Shen Jinyue stood up, taking 2 pieces of paper. At this moment, he bore no resentment, merely leaning down to say a few words to Lu Huaiji. "Brother, don't be nervous. If there is anything you don't wish to answer, just come to the kitchen and find me. If they pressure you, just let me know, and I'll take you away. Let them have no son or grandson." Having remained silent until now, the seemingly aloof General Shen finally could not contain himself, delivering a swift kick toward Shen Jinyue. "Who dares to bully little Lu? Get out of here!" General Shen's sudden movement startled Lu Huaiji, who turned his head in a daze. The general had already straightened himself and resumed his seat, showing no sign of his earlier outburst. Shen Jinyue, having anticipated this, deftly dodged, whispering cheerfully to Lu Huaiji, "See, brother, I've inherited my dad and grandpa's demeanor. I can't be serious. You can rest assured." Lu Huaiji appeared quite composed, nodding in response, "You go ahead." As Shen Jinyue's figure vanished behind the door, General Shen turned his attention to Lu Huaiji. "Little Lu, since you are now with Jinyue, you have the right to be informed regarding his matters." Lu Huaiji cradled his cup, aware of the direction General Shen's next words would take. He nodded, allowing General Shen to continue without interruption. However, General Shen pondered for a moment, closing his mouth and glancing at General Shen. Exhaling deeply, General Shen remarked, "The reason fate is termed fortune is that it can never be fully controlled." Mr. Shen nodded in understanding, saying, Little Lu, before we discuss this matter, I want to clarify that I have no intention of imposing any moral obligations upon you. We respect all of your choices." Lu Huaiji responded with a soft acknowledgement, noticing Mr. Shen's lingering discomfort, and took the initiative to speak. "I understand. It's all right." This caused Mr. Shen to momentarily freeze, struggling to find words, until General Shen, his voice trembling, asked, "What do you understand?" Under the scrutinizing gazes of the two alphas, Lu Huaiji articulated deliberately, "I am aware of his pheromone situation." Both General Shen and Mr. Shen visibly tensed. "So what is your choice?" Lu Huaiji replied, "Being with him is my choice." "Did you know about his pheromone situation before you got involved with Jinyue?" Mr. Shen inquired incredulously. An alpha with such a formidable pheromone index, facing a serious pheromone issue, poses a dire threat to omegas should they lose control. Typically, a normal omega would steer clear of such alphas. How could one choose to be with him? Indeed, Mr. Shen and General Shen had sent Shen Jinyue to the Imperial University with a glimmer of hope, wondering if there existed an omega capable of soothing Shen Jinyue's pheromones. What if there was a chance for Shen Jinyue's recovery? Though the likelihood was slim, they felt helpless. However, if the omega was with Shen Jinyue out of affection, unable to calm or suppress his pheromones, then being with him will be profoundly unfair to the omega. While they wished to heal Shen Jinyue, they did not desire such circumstances that might cause unwarranted harm to another. General Shen, adopting a serious demeanor, asked, "Do you grasp the severity of this, little Lu?" "I understand," Lu Huaiji replied softly. He was acutely aware of the gravity of a lifelong commitment. "Let me try," he added, his tone gentle but not entirely definitive. Upon hearing this, he noticed the hands of both General Shen and Mr. Shen trembling slightly. Their concerns mirrored those of their son and grandson. Who would willingly accept such a fate? Lu Huaiji refrained from further comments, yet his demeanor spoke volumes. The Shen father and son appeared to exhale a collective sigh of relief, but General Shen retained a shard of rationality, stating, "If you find it becoming overwhelming, please inform us and extricate yourself promptly." "Understood." When Shen Jinyue emerged, he was met with a sight that took him aback. His father and grandfather sitting beside his boyfriend, exuding a warmth he had never witnessed before, engaged in a remarkably fluid conversation. Lu Huaiji interjected from time to time, and upon catching sight of Shen Jinyue, offered him a subtle smile. Shen Jinyue nearly lost his grip on the plate he was carrying, clearing his throat awkwardly before placing the dishes on the table and settling beside Lu Huaiji. "Were you all discussing so happily?" As soon as Shen Jinyue spoke, the expressions of Shen's father and General Shen changed. "What do you mean? You may treat us Huaiji as an intimate, but you cannot regard me as an outsider." Initially, it was General Shen who found fault with Shen's father, for Shen's father was quite similar to Shen Jinyue in his youth. However, after Shen Jinyue was born and displayed his astonishing destructive capabilities, the tensions between General Shen and Shen's father became palpable, especially for the latter. He rolled his eyes at his son, who was both commendable and frustrating, and asked, "Is dinner ready?" "Yes, it's ready. Let us eat. We've been waiting for both of you," Shen Jinyue replied, clearly in high spirits. He refrained from sparring with his father and took hold of Lu Huaiji's wrist, guiding him to sit at the dining table. He settled in close to Lu Huaiji, nearly touching him, and whispered, "Did my dad say anything to you?" Lu Huaiji replied, "He did." Shen Jinyue's body jolted, and he stood up straight, exclaiming, "What did they say to you?" Although they were his father and grandfather, any attempt to sow discord between him and his brother was utterly unacceptable. They said, Lu Huaiji mimicked Shen Jinyue, lowering his head slightly and elongating his tone. "They said you love me to the point of madness." Chapter 96, Brother, Happy New Year. The meal passed amidst Shen Jinyue's playful banter. After finishing dinner, he took Lu Huaiji for a stroll around the Shen family villa. They wandered for quite some time, and upon reaching the entrance, they coincidentally encountered two individuals approaching them. It was Si Yuhan, accompanied by a young man who exuded a gentle and somewhat shy demeanor, nervously clutching the hem of his clothes. At that moment, Shen Jinyue was playfully tugging at Lu Huaiji's hair, and Lu Huaiji, having lost his patience, swatted Shen Jinyue's hand away and tied up his hair. In a brief pause while tying his hair, Lu Huaiji made eye contact with Si Yuhan. He stopped momentarily and nodded in acknowledgement. Si Yuhan, unfazed, greeted, "Oh, you're here too, little classmate?" Shen Jinyue quietly remarked, "The one beside her is my sister's Omega. They just got married a few days ago." Lu Huaiji turned in surprise and nodded at the male Omega, who appeared quite anxious, taking a while to respond before smiling and waving at Lu Huaiji. The four of them entered the living room together, apparently having met before. Shen's father and General Shen did not rise to greet them this time. After chatting for a while, Shen's father suddenly asked, "Were you planning to have children?" This was indeed an unavoidable topic. Lu Huaiji stiffened slightly, while Shen Jinyue wrapped his arm around his waist. The warmth of the alpha's large hand seeped through the fabric, kindling a warmth within. The male Omega lowered his gaze, hesitating for a moment before shyly replying, "If she wants to have children, I'm fine with it." "Having children is quite painful, brother-in-law," Shen Jinyue casually interjected, his tone languid and nonchalant as he embraced the Omega beside him, leaving his meaning ambiguous. The moment Shen's father and General Shen took their seats, an air of intimidation settled in the room, coupled with the formidable presence of Shen Jinyue and Lu Huaiji, both of whom were far from inconspicuous. The atmosphere became even more charged. Shen Jinyue, with his long limbs, exuded an aura that suggested he was not to be trifled with, while Lu Huaiji's habitually cold demeanor further unsettled the Omega present. After many years of commanding, his silence concealed the thoughts swirling within his mind. When Lu Huaiji turned his head at Shen Jinyue's utterance, Si Yuhan remained mostly silent. The powerful and sharp aura of the female alpha, adorned with serpentine earrings, swept across the male Omega as she casually remarked, "Do not be intimidated. I shall not devour you." Her demeanor was aloof, bordering on indifferent, while Lu Huaiji, maintaining his inscrutable expression, leaned back on the sofa, observing their conversation. "Moments latte." Si Yuhan stood up, gesturing for Lu Huaiji and Shen Jinyue to step outside, thereby allowing the remaining three to occupy the space. Once they reached the small garden, Shen Jinyue carelessly damaged a vibrant red flower, stating, "Children are willing to bear for you, so you should be prepared to accept them." No sooner had he spoken than he sensed a misstep, quickly turning to Lu Huaiji, "I did not imply that one must bear children to be accepted, brother. The situation is different." After enduring a fair share of romantic banter, Si Yuhan scoffed, "You are rather observant." Taking a seat on a swing, she continued, "Who said I have a penchant for men and children? Had I not exhausted him, I would not even consider marriage." She inquired, "Are you planning to abandon him after your indulgence?" Shen Jinyue and Lu Huaiji settled beside her, although the latter had climbed into Shen Jinyue's bed voluntarily. It was evident that his affections were directed towards Shen Jinyue as a person, rather than merely familial ties. Could he not discern this after all these months? "I am not someone anyone can simply claim," Si Yuhan asserted, never one to put on airs before her younger brother. She asked, "Hearing you inquire earlier, do you have a fondness for children?" The male alpha reclined lazily, responding, "They are tolerable. Children are merely for play, nothing more." "Let him bear one for your amusement, then," Shen Jinyue retorted, incredulous. "Is it as simple as that? Is not I who shall bear them?" Si Yuan shrugged, "Umbotird. What a man having a child." Shen Jinyue fell silent, unable to counter. The future remained uncertain. Who could predict what lay ahead? Being older than Shen Jinyue, Si Yuhan was not one to take romantic advice from him. Thus she chose not to pursue the topic further. After exchanging a few words with Lu Huaiji to gauge his preferences, she rejoined the others. Her demeanor towards them was markedly warmer compared to her earlier coolness towards the Omega. By the time they returned, the Omega had relaxed considerably from his initial tension. Si Yuhan raised an eyebrow, commencing discussions about their outing plans. Shen Jinyue had numerous ideas, while Lu Huaiji quietly enjoyed his meal. Shen Jinyue enthusiastically enumerated the various captivating destinations within the empire and even the neighboring federation, awaiting Lu Huaiji's decision. Ultimately, they selected a remote planet, known for its breathtaking scenery and sparse population. Before their departure, Lu Huaiji took Shen Jinyue to meet Jing He. It seemed like a predetermined process. Jing He and Shen Jinyue exchanged words, and when Shen Jinyue emerged, he held his head high, as if shouldering the monumental responsibility of securing the Federation. Even Lu Huaiji remained silent. Subsequently, they visited the most splendid auroras and the gentlest waves. Each time Lu Huaiji turned, he could see Shen Jinyue's face, earnest, gentle, and meticulous. Upon arriving at the second planet, they unexpectedly encountered Shi Xiaoyu. This was likely the first meeting between Shen Jinyue and Shi Xiaoyu that left an impression on the former. Shi Xiaoyu mentioned having heard of him before, to which Shen Jinyue merely smiled. Upon learning that Lu Huaiji and Shen Jinyue were together, Shi Xiaoyu paused for a moment and offered his blessings. He appeared far more mature than during his time at the Imperial Academy, burdened with more responsibilities. After exchanging a few words with Lu Huaiji and the others, he departed, only stating that he must be invited to their wedding in the future. That evening, Shen Jinyue displayed an astonishing magnanimity befitting a primary consort, not mentioning Shi Xiaoyu even once. Lu Huaiji glanced at him, unable to bear it, and comforted Shen Jinyue with a few words. Thus, the young Master Shen revived with full vigor. With the new year approaching, the group prepared to return to the main planet. All matters were settled, and everything lay in tranquility. On New Year's Day, every corner of the main planet was adorned in red. Even the streetlights had been replaced with soft pink hues tinged with red, creating an opulent spectacle. As Lu Huaiji stood on the ground, he was momentarily blinded by the vibrant reds surrounding him. The air buzzed with excitement, with vehicles and pedestrians bustling about, while the pink lights along the road formed two parallel lines that converged in the distance. Their spaceship's landing was delayed due to the overwhelming crowd, arriving late. As a colossal clock in the city loomed overhead, dragging its second hand to align with the hour and minute hands. "Brother, Happy New Year." The voice of a nearby Alpha resonated in harmony with the ticking of the second hand, reverberating within Lu Huaiji's chest. He turned to Shen Jinyue, the Alpha's voice dissolving into the pink haze of the city, love shattering the desolation that filled his vision. Chapter 97. Do you wish to have children? When Lu Huaiji and Shen Jinyue returned from purchasing flowers, they found three individuals seated in the living room, smiling and waving them over. Numerous others were scattered around, including relatives from the Shen family, Si Yuhan, Sui Su, Qiao, and Yu, and many more. I heard that you and the young man from the Sui and Qiao families are friends, so I invited them as well, General Shen said with a smile. The general, devoid of the battlefield's fierceness, had shed all rigidity, his expression softening. Jing He sat smiling nearby, observing the bustling scene with gentle eyes. It was the third day of the new year, and all the busyness had subsided. Lu Huaiji smiled as well, affirming, "Yes, we are all friends." Sui Su unabashedly grabbed small cake and took a bite, exclaiming, "My dad almost chased me 10 miles when he found out I was coming to the Shen household." "Shen Grandpa, little Lu, when are you two planning to get married?" Lu Huaiji had just settled beside Shen Jinyue when he was momentarily taken aback by the question. Instinctively glancing at Shen Jinyue, Shen Jinyue rested his chin on his hand, chewing gum, and blinked innocently at the remark. "I just turned 18, Suiga. Besides, when I get married is entirely up to you, right, brother?" Lu Huaiji smiled as he peeled an orange, replying, "We'll wed when you come of age." What a delightful surprise. A casual remark would bind the illustrious young Master Shen for a lifetime. Shen Jinyue swiftly planted a kiss on Lu Huaiji's cheek, gazing at Suishu with immense gratitude. "What about you, Suiga? When do you plan to tie the knot? I prepare my gift." Soon, Suishu said, glancing at his phone and snatching the last piece of cake from the person beside him. "Has Suishu found someone? Who is it?" Shen Fu inquired curiously. Suishu chuckled, "Yes, uncle. But as for who, that's a secret. So, you have a partner, but don't bring them to meet us?" "How rude." Shen Jinyue mumbled through his gum. He then turned to Lu Huaiji and asked, "Do you know who it is?" Lu Huaiji raised his finger and gently touched his lips. "You've met them." Shen Jinyue exclaimed. "Is it a secret?" Shen Fu laughed, unfazed by the matter. "Is it a man or a woman?" "A man, an Omega," Sueshi replied casually, his demeanor warm and familiar. "I adore him." "Indeed," Shen Jinyue added. "You boast about your partner every day, almost to the point of mutation." "Show some restraint," Sueshi retorted. Shen Jinyue nodded generously and shifted the conversation to Xiao Heyu. "What about you, Xiao Ge? It's been so long. Do you have a partner?" Xiao Heyu, lost in his phone, paused at the question and smiled lightly. "No partner." "When do you plan to find one?" "That's uncertain," Xiao Heyu mused, somewhat absent-minded. "Who knows when one might encounter someone they like?" Lu Huaiji, not one for conversation, quietly observed them until he eventually excused himself to the restroom. Upon his return, he found two individuals standing before the restroom door, Si Yuhan and the male Omega he had seen previously. The male Omega appeared flustered, and Si Yuhan seemed impatient, urging, "Speak up if you have something to say." "I." The man's face turned crimson, struggling to articulate his thoughts. With no time to linger, Si Yuhan turned to leave, but the Omega grasped her sleeve with urgency, exclaiming, "I think I might be pregnant." Si Yuhan froze, disbelief washing over her as she lowered her gaze. They stood face to face in silence for a while. Lu Huaiji remained quietly still, neither stepping out nor uttering a word. After a lengthy pause, Si Yuhan finally spoke, "You should go home and rest. If you are, just have the baby and don't overthink it." As she watched the Omega's figure disappear, Si Yuhan exhaled softly, reflecting, "There's indeed some truth to what they say about a child elevating one's status." Just as she prepared to leave, she spotted Lu Huaiji walking out. She nodded towards Lu Huaiji and said, "I just calculated the days. My younger brother's susceptible period is quite similar to mine. Xiao Lu, be cautious. And if things go awry, just run. I will take you in." Lu Huaiji was momentarily taken aback and replied affirmatively. He returned and sat beside Shen Jinyue. Indeed, Shen Jinyue was approaching his vulnerable period. Even without Si Yuhan mentioning it, Lu Huaiji had noticed. Over the past few days, he had caught the scent of Shen Jinyue's pheromones, even when it was unlikely for Shen Jinyue to release them. When Lu Huaiji returned, he found Shen Jinyue engaged in a playful tussle with a younger counterpart over the last orange. After peeling it, he handed it to Lu Huaiji right in front of the young one, who immediately burst into tears. Unable to suppress a chuckle, Lu Huaiji divided the orange, offering half to the child and the other half to Shen Jinyue. Shen Jinyue relished the experience of being fed by his elder brother. His spirits lifted, with no time to ponder the child's tears, as Xiao and Yu departed early due to prior commitments. Lu Huaiji had already rescued 4 or 5 younger ones at Shen Jinyue's behest. Xiao and Yu, engrossed in their phones, noted that despite the festive atmosphere, Lu Huaiji seemed to harbor something within, his demeanor less than cheerful. Song Qi organized a gathering for the next evening at their usual KTV, asking if they would attend. Before Lu Huaiji could respond, Shen Jinyue exclaimed, "Of course we will." Thus, Lu Huaiji acquiesced. People soon departed in small groups, and midway, someone received a phone call, leaving in a rush after a brief word with Lu Huaiji. Once everyone had finally dispersed, Lu Huaiji took Shen Jinyue upstairs. As Shen Jinyue was still speaking, Lu Huaiji's hand rested on his wrist, causing his words to falter. The Alpha obediently followed the Omega upstairs. Originally, Lu Huaiji did not share a room with Shen Jinyue. After escorting him to his chamber, Shen Jinyue reached out, effortlessly tugging Lu Huaiji inside. The Omega's long hair intertwined with the Alpha's arm, his back against the door. As he looked up at him and said, "What is it?" "Brother, it seems you are entering your heat period." It was an unmistakable observation. Lu Huaiji inquired, "Are you aware that you are entering your susceptible period?" "I am," Shen Jinyue responded. Lu Huaiji paused slightly. "Then I will go out shortly. I have inhibitors in my room. You should use them first." Lu Huaiji remained silent. Assuming his silence was acquiescence, Shen Jinyue released him and prepared to exit. Suddenly, the Omega grasped his arm, causing Shen Jinyue to halt. Lu Huaiji's deep crimson eyes quietly regarded him. Why use inhibitors? Shen Jinyue's movements froze. At some point, the alpha had wrapped his arms around Lu Huaiji, their bodies close, breaths mingling. Lu Huaiji tilted his head slightly, his back pressed against the door, grasping Shen Jinyue's collar as he leaned in to kiss him. The atmosphere was intensely charged, easily spiraling out of control. In the brief moments between kisses, Lu Huaiji prompted Shen Jinyue to lower his head. With some hesitation, he asked, "Do you wish to have children?" Shen Jinyue nibbled on Lu Huaiji's collarbone before replying, "Children?" Lu Huaiji remained silent. Shen Jinyue embraced Lu Huaiji's waist, lifting him up, and in a hushed tone inquired, "Do you wish to bear children, brother?" Lu Huaiji, silenced by his kiss, found himself at a loss for words, uncertain of how to respond. "Even if you desire to give birth, I shall not allow it. My mother perished during my difficult birth. The pain an Omega endures while giving life is unimaginable. We shall not procreate, for I cannot bear to see you suffer." As he continued to kiss him, Shen Jinyue expressed, "I could never bear to let you endure such pain." Finally, Lu Huaiji exhaled softly, "All right." Chapter 98, The Conclusion, when the hands of the clock align with longing. It was astonishingly simple for Lu Huaiji to ensnare Shen Jinyue in a state of heightened sensitivity. Shen Jinyue kept him awake throughout the night, and when he awoke, Lu Huaiji glanced at his phone to discover it was already afternoon. Shen Jinyue was absent from the room, and Lu Huaiji slowly sat up, his body aching profoundly. He wished to tie back his hair, but found himself lacking the strength to lift his hands. Taking a gentle breath, he realized Shen Jinyue must have tended to him, for he felt no unusual sensations. After a moment, he shakily managed to secure his hair. As he rose, his legs felt weak, and for the first time in his life, he experienced the sensation of nearly kneeling before the air, bracing himself against the bedside table to avoid collapsing. After a considerable time, Lu Huaiji emerged from the restroom, and as he opened the door, it coincidentally swung open. Shen Jinyue, upon not finding Lu Huaiji in bed, was taken aback, but his gaze quickly shifted towards the restroom, and he hurriedly carried the Omega back to the chair. "I said I would check on you in 10 minutes. Why did you go to the restroom by yourself?" Shen Jinyue was perplexed as he assisted Lu Huaiji in sitting down and then inquired about what he would like to eat. Lu Huaiji replied that he did not wish to eat. Shen Jinyue made an okay gesture and went downstairs to fetch a bowl of congee, feeding Lu Huaiji until it was finished. Indeed, the words of Song Qi and Xie Hui rang true. Their Lu Gu relished in enforced affection. He delighted in Shen Jinyue's assertiveness. After feeding Lu Huaiji the entire bowl of congee, Shen Jinyue had the bowl taken away and sat beside him like a primary school student. His period of heightened sensitivity had not yet fully passed, and the faint traces of his pheromones enveloped Lu Huaiji, igniting warmth in his nape. Lu Huaiji gently pushed Shen Jinyue away a bit, asking, "What are you doing? Does it hurt, brother?" "No," Lu Huaiji replied with a stoic expression, suppressing the urge to inhale sharply. Shen Jinyue exclaimed in surprise, "Is my technique truly that poor, brother?" Lu Huaiji retorted, "Nonsense." Last night, Lu Huaiji had nearly succumbed on the bed. Pushing himself up by Shen Jinyue's shoulders, he asked, "Did Song Qi mention the time?" "Yes, brother, at 6 o'clock this afternoon. Should I tell him we might arrive later, or perhaps in a couple of days?" Lu Huaiji responded firmly, "No." If he were to agree today and then be absent, given Shen Jinyue's character, the entire world would soon know what had transpired between them. It was as if an apocalypse were imminent. "Shen Jinyue, do not be stubborn, brother. If you're truly unwell today, we need not go." Lu Huaiji grasped Shen Jinyue's wrist, pulling him up. "What time is it now?" Shen Jinyue replied, "It's 4 o'clock, brother." Lu Huaiji closed his eyes momentarily and promptly went to the bathroom to tidy himself up, greeting Shen's father and Jing He on the way. General Shen had taken a break prior to the new year and, after an extended holiday, had gone to the military headquarters early that morning. Meanwhile, Shen's father had just returned, and Jing He had only recently arrived. After a brief exchange with Lu Huaiji, Jing He paused upon noticing Shen Jinyue behind him. Surveying Lu Huaiji momentarily, Lu Huaiji gently shifted to the side. Jing He smiled knowingly. Moderation is key. He had never been the type to overly supervise his son, He understood his son's nature and thus refrained from excessive interference. Lu Huaiji. Shen Jinyue pinched the tips of Lu Huaiji's flushed ears. "All right, Uncle Jing. Are you dining here?" Jing, he inquired again. "We are going out to eat," they replied in unison. Shen Jinyue's utterance was cut short by a gentle pinch from his boyfriend, leaving his sentence unfulfilled. Apprehensive, Shen Jinyue followed Lu Huaiji out. After finishing their meal at a nearby venue, they headed to the KTV that Song Qi had reserved. As Lu Huaiji pushed the door open, the sound of celebratory fireworks erupted, showering the attendees in pink hearts. Lu Huaiji closed his eyes, brushing a few hearts from his hair before taking a seat. "Happy New Year, Lu Ge, Shen Ge." Song Qi approached them, embracing Lu Huaiji and leading the group into games. Most of the classmates from Class S1 were present, engaging in a lively atmosphere of drinking and singing, the room buzzing with excitement. As the latest arrivals, Lu Huaiji and Shen Jinyue were teased a few times before the group commenced a game of truth or dare. Shen Jinyue participated wholeheartedly, finding himself the center of attention as the bottle consistently pointed towards him, resulting in repeated penalties. Meanwhile, Lu Huizi, blessed with extraordinary luck, leaned comfortably to the side, observing Shen Jinyue transform gradually in his eyes into a round, egg-like figure, almost a vortex of the game. In the 9th round, the bottle finally did not point at Shen Jinyue, moving him to tears of joy as he playfully tormented the chosen classmate. However, in the 10th round, the bottle once again landed squarely on Shen Jinyue. Shen Jinyue exclaimed, "The classmates of Class S1 truly show no mercy," as laughter erupted around him. He cast a forlorn glance at the Omega beside him, only to see the dazzling lights softly outlining the Omega's gentle, three-dimensional profile. Lu Huizi's lips curled into a subtle smile, genuine and devoid of any ulterior feelings. Shen Jinyue found himself speechless. Lu Huaiji suggested, "I shall take his place." Given Lu Huaiji's exceptional luck, it was evident that continuing as they were might lead to an endless cycle of turns, which the classmates readily agreed to. "Truth or dare?" Lu Huaiji asked. "Truth," he decided. The opportunity to interrogate the unrivaled flower of the High Ridge is truly a once-in-a-lifetime chance, leaving everyone exchanging glances, uncertain of what to ask. Ultimately, the gaze of the final dozen individuals converged upon Shen Jinyue. Shen Jinyue inquired, "What's the matter? Should I ask?" Before he could finish his sentence, Song Qi broke into a teasing smile, leading the group. "Lu Ge, tell me, who is your precious darling?" Lu Huaiji silently covered his face, feeling that uttering this phrase was more unsettling than facing death itself. In the midst of the hushed crowd, he managed to squeeze out Shen Jinyue's name from his throat. Shen Jinyue stifled a laugh for quite a while, and taking advantage of the others looking down, he planted a kiss on Lu Huaiji. "Ah, don't kiss. My goodness." Song Qi, seated not far from Shen Jinyue, caught the entire scene with a swift glance and shouted. Leaning back against the sofa, he observed the two part ways, then suddenly asked, "What are your plans after graduation?" The group appeared taken aback by this abrupt change of topic and hesitated to respond. Xiao Yu, sitting beside Song Qi, replied, "I'll return to take over the company." After a brief pause, he added, "I've always been here." Song Qi, unusually, did not immediately respond to Xiao Yu's statement. Shen Jinyue, unfazed, remarked after graduation, "I'll go to the military department with my grandfather for some training before returning." Everyone chimed in with their general plans. "And you, Song Qi?" someone inquired. Song Qi's fingers, gripping the wine glass, turned pale as he contemplated before saying, "I'll undergo secret training. My father wants me to become a commander." Among the S1 class, only Song Qi chose this path, prompting a flurry of inquiries as to why. He smiled and deflected the questions. Lu Huaiji furrowed his brow, taking a sip of his drink before setting the glass down. "Will you come back?" Song Qi replied, "No, I want to be back." "Not ever?" "Probably not," he said, lowering his gaze, avoiding eye contact with anyone. "I want to be back at all." "What do you mean by coming back or not?" Shen Jinyue perceptively sensed something amiss. "When the time comes, I'll fly a spaceship to pick you up, Xiao Song." "All right," Song Qi responded with a smile. "Just continue having fun." Shen Jinyue replied, "I have no objections." Yet, The next round once again fell upon Shen Jinyue. I have objections, Shen Jinyue asserted. This time, Lu Ge can't help you, Shen Ge. It's truth or dare. He emphatically placed his cup on the table. Truth, truth. The stimulating questions had all been asked in the earlier rounds. After a brief discussion, Xia Hui and Zhou Yi finally posed a monumental question. What are your views on love? This plunged the entire private room into silence. Even the music ceased, leaving all 30 attendees fixated on Shen Jinyue and Lu Huaiji. Are you asking me about my views on love? Alpha, under the dim lights of the KTV room, lowered his gaze slightly, his voice soft and distant. I didn't believe in it before. I thought it was nonsense. My world was once solely about myself. All my attention was inward, selfish and arrogant. But then I met someone who is the very best. His gaze swept across the assembly of alphas before finally settling upon the omega beside him. Shen Jinyue spoke softly, the titles shifting upon his lips. Thus, through my lens, I bear witness to all your brilliance. He carried a memory entrusted by love, and thus he embraced it willingly. I shall love you in the depths of winter. As the sun lingered at its zenith, the hands of the clock coincided with his longing. In that moment, Shen Jinyue realized he must learn to love. He did not wish for his rabbit to be ensnared in the depths of winter. When spring dawns and love resonates, he shall reclaim his omega. The main text concludes here, dear readers. There are 2 additional chapters of side stories, featuring the confessions of Qiao and Yu, as well as Song Qi, which bear no relation to the main narrative. Please choose to engage with them cautiously. This book is one I promised to my beloved readers long ago, one I had intended to write. Although it lay dormant for an extended period, the unwavering anticipation of one devoted reader inspired me to see it through to completion, to ensure it began and ended with purpose. The book maintained a commendable reception during its initial recommendation phase, and I could perceive the affection my readers harbored for it. Yet, the data caused me considerable distress, as I struggled to earn even the price of breakfast in a day, with scant messages and comments. Writing became an arduous endeavor. Thus, I chose the most opportune moment to conclude the tale. The story of Shen Jinyue and Lu Tutu has reached its end. I believe I have conveyed all pertinent details regarding their journey. Should there be any omissions, I shall address them in future side stories. Once again, I reiterate, the road is long, and should fate allow, we shall meet again in the next book. With a bow of gratitude, Chapter 99, Side Story, Qiao and Yu, a tone entirely distinct from the main text. Approach with caution. I am Qiao Yu, the embodiment of hesitation, a self-serving individual with a distinctly strong, goal-oriented mindset. The overly sociable altruist clashes with my nature. I speak of Song Qi. I met Song Qi when I was 3 years old. He was excessively noisy, and I took an instant disliking to him. Fortunately, after that, my interactions with him were minimal. Yet, he appeared eager to know me, incessantly chattering whenever we crossed paths. I have encountered many offspring of military families, yet few could rival his incessant clamor. It was utterly annoying, a stark contrast to his father, the commander, who spoke succinctly. He claimed he aspired to be a commander. I resolved never to follow in his footsteps. I would distance myself from him. When I turned 18, the very scenario I dreaded most came to fruition. At that time, we were in a transitional class after the college entrance examination, and I had applied to the Imperial University, which required 2 months of preparatory training. Song Qi and I were placed in the same class. I wished for death. How could I forget that the Imperial University offered a major dedicated to training commanders? As expected, upon seeing me, Song Qi acted as though he had ingested a stimulant. That very night, we were assigned to share a hotel room, and I spent the entire night absorbing every detail about him. His pheromones, attributes, favorite colors, preferred dishes, even his MBTI type and zodiac sign. He was exceedingly loquacious. I wished for death. The stepmother perceives the Imperial University as difficult to control and whispers sweet nothings to my father, persuading him to encourage me to enroll in a nearby institution to care for her son. I harbored a deep-seated disdain for my hypocritical father and an even greater aversion to the Omega he subsequently married, including her son, who is ostensibly my stepbrother. Our household is rife with madness. Perhaps it is due to my family background that I have learned to disguise my true self. They all believe I am amiable towards everyone. The facade has melded seamlessly with my very being. Everyone regards me as the perennial good person, and it is evident that Song-chi shares this sentiment. I'm at my breaking point. I feel utterly despondent. He enjoys strawberries but shuns anything strawberry-flavored. He relishes corn, yet avoids its essence. He savors red dates, but turns his back on red date-flavored items. He loves cola, yet prefers it flat. He consumes beef only if it is in the form of a wrap. He will only eat fried eggs, eschewing boiled ones. Such a glutton. How does this little fox know so much about food? Spare me the details. For every morsel you mention, I must commit it to memory. I wish to disappear. The son born of my stepmother is as bothersome as she is an unrelenting specter. He clutches my hand and questions why I do not return to see him. See him? I would rather remain at school and share a bed with Song-chi before I could graciously dispatch this so-called brother, the little fox, who had been chatting with others, turned around. Now, I must contend with two individuals. The situation has become more complex. Little did I know that the fox would boldly position himself before me, telling my brother to leave. How did he discern my thoughts? The little fox, who usually appears rather foolish, eloquently silenced my brother, who departed in utter humiliation. I find myself less inclined to end it all. I am certain I conceal my true feelings exceptionally well. I have never shown a glimmer of discontent in anyone's presence. No one would suspect that I have been unhappy all along. After my brother's third attempt to approach me, only to be rebuffed, he sat beside me with a bottle of water. Tilting his head, he remarked, "If you are unhappy, let it out. Pretense serves no purpose. If you feel the need to unleash your anger on them, you may do so on me as well. I can take it." In that moment, I felt an overwhelming desire to kiss him. I restrained myself, but I pondered whether I had developed feelings for him. 2 months can feel both lengthy and fleeting. We are on the cusp of parting ways as summer approaches. The major I chose is far removed from his, prompting me to opt for a change of specialization after 1 semester, without consulting anyone's advice. When my so-called brother sought me out, I finally revealed my displeasure, startling him into retreat. It turns out that sometimes one need not maintain a facade. Song-chi suggested I need not exert myself so much. Both of us are alphas, and should we come together, my insufferable father would undoubtedly intervene. Yet who truly cares? However, there remains an insurmountable barrier between us. He took me to test our pheromone compatibility, and it was revealed that while we are both alphas, the compatibility is rather low. We have been desk mates for 3 years, a situation we have endeavored to maintain. He is so oblivious, even in our 3rd year. He has yet to realize my affections for him. Perhaps it is for the best, as I have yet to clear the obstacles that lie before me. After graduation, I must return and displace that wretched father from his position. If, after graduation, an opportunity arises, I shall seek him out. He invited us to KTV, and I sensed that something might transpire, as his demeanor lately seemed somewhat amiss. Although he conversed freely with everyone as usual, I perceived a difference. He inquired about our plans post-graduation. I pondered that my future intentions were intertwined with his. My aspirations revolved around him. I replied that I would return to take over the family business and that I would always be present. This latter statement was directed at him, not implying any desire for him to incorporate me into his plans, merely that I would remain. He avoided my gaze and declared that he would engage in clandestine training and would never return. Never return. Someone asked him, "Are you truly never coming back?" Without a moment's hesitation, he affirmed, "Indeed, I shall never return." Is it truly so dreadful here? I must have forced a smile at that moment. I said, "Very well. Perhaps we shall reunite after a long time, amidst the mountains and waters, under the clouds and moonlight, in the memories of every glance exchanged between us." The reunion remains uncertain, yet I have already calculated the days until our imminent separation. Chapter 100. Side Story. Song-chi's perspective, diverging entirely from the main narrative. Proceed with caution. I harbor such deep affection for someone. He resembles a small son, always gentle and warm, never allowing my words to fall into silence. I have known him since I was 3, and now, at 18, my fondness for him has never been as profound. He treats me exceptionally well, yet I can sense that he seems to detest me. But why does he remember my likes and dislikes, and every word I utter? Is it an act? Nevertheless, my fondness for him endures. I am utterly infatuated with Xiao and you. Why must both individuals in a relationship be alphas? I have done nothing wrong, nor have Xiao and you. Yet, we can never be together. For I am an alpha, an incomplete alpha. My father wished for me to become an alpha and forcibly administered prohibited military substances when I was 17. As he desired, I evolved into an alpha. However, my life now presents only two paths: to find an omega to soothe my intensely volatile pheromones, or to await my demise. I desire neither an omega nor a premature death. Yet an alpha cannot pacify another alpha's pheromones. Our union would only lead to suffering. Greater suffering. I'm a flawed alpha, yet I love him. I once measured our pheromone compatibility, and it was dismally low, having been desk mates for many years in college. It was a privilege I sought from our homeroom teacher. Being desk mates is sufficient. Do not aspire for more, Song-chi. Being together with two alphas like you and Xiao, and you'll only drag him down. Song-chi, you will meet an early demise. One day, you will inevitably abandon Xiao and you. Do not pursue this path. Upon witnessing the interaction between Lu and Shen, I turned to Xiao Xiao and remarked, "We share a mutual secret admiration." Xiao Xiao replied, "Indeed, a secret admiration. You might have thought I was jesting at that moment, didn't you? You believed I couldn't discern your feelings, am I right? But, dear fool, your pretense was far too transparent. You ought to take a lesson from me. I am far more adept at concealing my emotions. At the very least, no one has ever realized that I harbor feelings for you." When he uttered the words secret admiration, I averted my gaze. Yet, I could sense Xiao Xiao's disappointment, which left me utterly distressed. I succeeded in my charade. I truly do not have feelings for you, Xiao Xiao. However, if that were the case, why does my heart dwell solely on you? Both Xiao Xiao and Shen have labeled me foolish, but could I truly be that naive? Foolish enough that Su Zhuo would wish me harm without me noticing? No. Xiao Xiao. After the college entrance examination, I casually mentioned my intended major, and upon the commencement of the semester, you appeared within that very field of study. I am aware of your family's circumstances. I cannot fathom the immense pressure you endure, given your father's deep connections with the Su family. How could I expect you to stand up for me? Perhaps it is better to be a little naive. There's a certain charm in it. At the very least, you'll always look after me. We are all bound by our circumstances. Now in our third year, my father has begun mapping out my future. He has instructed me to engage in clandestine training after graduation, ultimately entering the military, gradually ascending from a command position. This was, without a doubt, my initial aspiration, and I have been steadily progressing towards it. Yet why does my heart feel a tinge of bitterness? The path I must tread may inevitably disappoint some. I seized an opportunity to invite the entire class to karaoke. When I inquired about their post-graduation aspirations, Xiao Xiao was the first to respond. He declared, "I will return home to take over the Xiao family business. I shall always be present." I knew it. Foolish boy. You entered this major solely to undergo physical training for 4 years before returning to commerce. Why then did you change your major, Xiao Xiao? I refrained from meeting his gaze and stated my intention to engage in clandestine training, surrendering my future to the military. Lu inquired, "Will you not return?" I replied, "Never again. Since this life is destined to be so brief, I shall devote my remaining time to the empire, utilizing my modest abilities." Yet, Xiao Xiao, you appear profoundly disappointed. Your expression reflects such disillusionment that I dare not look at you. I am truly sorry, Xiao Xiao. On graduation day, he attempted to kiss me. I declined. Foolish boy, you previously asserted that you could never develop feelings for an alpha, let alone one as boisterous and incompatible as I. Do not go back on your word. Save your first kiss for your future beloved. I may not have the chance, but I shall forever wish you happiness. It is so bitter. The time spent in clandestine training is excruciating. I am permitted only 6 hours of rest each day, with the remainder consumed by training. There are no towels passed to me by Xiao Xiao, no water offered by him, nor his comforting shoulder to lean on. It feels more painful than ever. I must not weep. I dedicated all my spare time, accessible to the outside world, to searching for those 3 words. He is remarkable. He has become the youngest entrepreneur. Poised yet approachable, refined, and amiable. Who would have known that such a young businessman would have 4 years of university time that belonged to me? No one knows. The duration has been so long that I am nearly on the verge of forgetting. I noticed that his company logo features a fiery red fox. Foolishness. No. Do not remember me. I, like my father wished, entered the military, transforming into the commander he envisioned for me, rising swiftly through the ranks. Yet, it seems my pheromones are increasingly uncontrollable. I hear that my classmates have found their beloved ones, many of whom are alphas of the same gender. I learned that Brother Shen and Brother Liu have married. Brother Shen is fortunate, as the compatibility of their pheromones is exceptionally high, and their sensitive periods have encountered no further mishaps. In the military, I encountered many individuals, including several former classmates who, like me, struggle. We occasionally reminisce, but no other conversations ensue. They all claim I have changed. However, the essence of me that is devoid of Qiao and you remains as it should. This mission point is at the location of our first meeting. I dare not go, yet I cannot retreat. Upon seeing that familiar figure, I was momentarily flustered. I recklessly dashed forward to rescue him, leaving in disarray before he could open his eyes. My time is running out. The world before me has turned a dull gray. The agony of my chaotic pheromones causes me to double over, yearning to expel all the blood within me. I to perish? Perhaps it is for the best. At least, in these sunless days, I have witnessed a glimmer of light. The universe appears inverted before me, all things fracturing and reassembling. I seem to glimpse the shadows of Qiao and you. Yet, truly, I love you so much. The story concludes here. Ha! I kindly request my dear readers to leave a 5-star review. It pains me to see this book, with its 200,000 words, rated merely 81. Such sorrow. My dear readers, please share in the reviews what additional chapters you wish to see. After the conclusion, I seldom check segment comments. But I will certainly read the reviews and will write when time permits. The tale of Shen Jinyue and Liu Huaiji ends here. Dear readers, feel free to click on my profile to explore my previous works. Bye-bye. Author's note, a chapter of unnecessary chatter. Hello, my dear readers. I am here to share my thoughts. This book has been completed for 10 days, and I have noticed that many of you feel a particular sense of unresolved emotion regarding one aspect, so I wanted to dedicate a chapter to discuss my creative mindset. The inspiration for Xiao O's Bubbles emerged 2 or 3 years ago, during which I prepared extensively for the plot, such as Qiao and you being lions, Song Qi as a little fox, and even Qi Ting Shuang as a flamingo. Although Yu Yao, who appears in only a few chapters, is possessed by a purple sea nettle, I have indeed written it all. Report. I did not slack off. Please praise me. Unfortunately, the length was too short for me to express everything, but I have mentioned it within the text. Furthermore, Sui Gu and Sui Su's beast transformation attribute is one of the most beautiful animals, the white peacock, which indeed displays its plumage. Previously, I harbored some reservations regarding Professor Yin. Initially, I envisioned him as a Belcher sea snake, a creature imbued with potent venom, thus painting our Professor Yin with strikingly light green eyes and hair, exuding an air of noble elegance. Many of you may have encountered my responses in the earlier comment section. Indeed, the pairing of Sui Su and Professor Yin was originally conceived as a tragic ending. According to the narrative's evolution, should I choose to depict the grand bird and the rabbit entering secret training to form a battalion, Sui Su and Yin Ziyu are destined for a tragic fate. Professor Yan's demise looms ahead. I shall refrain from further spoilers. I had envisioned a tragic conclusion for Yin Ziyu and Sui Su. You may recall that Sui Su is noted in the text as the first and sole character to possess a perfect luck score before Huaiji. Thus, I predict that years of unwavering fortune will suddenly dissipate in this pivotal moment. At this instant, the empire's sole ruler, Sui Su, gazes upon the lifeless body of his beloved, his eyes filled with despair and helplessness. He understands that this moment will haunt him as the most terrifying memory of his life. No amount of luck can save his beloved. The pain is unbearable. I wept at the thought, "Oh, Jean Biesher, you owe me money." Consequently, upon deciding not to pursue the story of the grand bird and the rabbit, I immediately resolved to craft a separate narrative with a revised ending. The journey of Sui Su and Professor Yin has been fraught with hardship, particularly Professor Yin's tragic past. It is heart-wrenching to ponder why, even after finding love, they cannot share a lifetime together. I was utterly devastated. Thus, I have granted Sui Su and Professor Yin a luxurious presidential suite, ensuring a happy ending. I have also made certain modifications to Professor Yan's beastly attributes, transforming him from a Belcher's sea snake into a Qing Wan, a bird of grace. I penned a summary of this couple back in May. Dear readers, you may find it on my profile and follow the link in my signature. Alternatively, feel free to follow my Tomato account and join my fan group. Simply signal me, and I shall share it immediately. Now, with that said, my dear readers should be aware that this book encompasses 3 pairs of characters, with only the main couple enjoying a fulfilling conclusion. Indeed, that was my initial design. Even the pairing of Jing and Liu Yu was conceived in this manner. In this narrative, only the primary couple is destined for happiness. There is no unexpected twist in the extras meant to deliver a blow. Their tragedy is inherent. The introduction of Qiao and Yu begins with Yu's hesitation, and his first self-revelation is, I am Qiao and Yu, the hesitant Yu. Earlier, I described him as gentle and deeply empathetic, directly indicating that he is a lion. I believed this foreshadowing was evident. One might discern that in truth. Xiao Qiao's gentleness is but a facade, a detail I regret having overlooked. Our rabbit, too, exhibits a contrasting tempestuousness. Alas, my oversight. I also portrayed our Songqi, the little fox, as naive, innocent, and kind-hearted. While kindness is indeed genuine, innocence is not necessarily guaranteed. Previously, the wife raised a question about the innocence of the little fox. Why is he so pure? It is because he yearns to frolic freely with Qiao and Yu for a lifetime, and in his simplicity, Qiao and Yu always gaze upon him. Our little fox and Xiao Qiao come from comparable backgrounds. Xiao Qiao's family collaborates with the Hui family, and the Liu family, living across from the general, is unlikely to be lacking. Thus, our little fox hails from a distinguished lineage as well. As a young master, could he truly be oblivious to those who wish him harm? While writing, I worried you might find the little fox somewhat foolish, but to my surprise, he has played his role exceedingly well, his charisma shining brilliantly. Some readers question why, despite being an extra, the story cannot be more uplifting, why the forced bittersweet ending. However, I must affirm that this truly is an original ending. Indeed, it began as bittersweet, which was my initial characterization of this couple. Yet, as I penned their confessions, I found myself weeping 3 times across 2 chapters. I simply could not bear to let the little fox remain in slumber. Out of frustration, I erased all the preceding groundwork for the bittersweet ending. Ah, dear poet, you owe me. In the end, even Liu Yu and Jing, he had a harmonious beginning. Though the moment of change remains unclear, even to Jing he himself. Such as life, perhaps. No one can guarantee what the future holds. Yet Liu Hui will steadfastly choose Shen Jinyue, and Shen Jinyue will ensure his eternal love for Liu Hui. Trust in the unparalleled strength of the Shen family. Dear poet, how splendid. Thus concludes my rambling. I thank you all for listening, bows and retreats. Now, for the advertisement. Dearest readers, allow me to recommend my other works. Simply click on my profile to discover them. I have tales of campus life, interstellar adventures, and stories of rekindled romances. Will you not come and explore the unparalleled charm of our Shen family? Surrender promptly and follow dear poet. I have nothing more to say. Farewell, dear ones. I hope to meet you again in my future works, across mountains and rivers. Extra, Qiao and Yu, Songqi's alternate universe, happy ending version. 1. Here we come. My darlings. Many readers have expressed regret over the little fox and Xiao Qiao's conclusion. So here is the alternate universe. As for the nature of their story, each has their own understanding, interpreted in the manner that brings you joy. Songqi never anticipated that he would one day open his eyes again. After years of training, no one knew better than him the frailty of his own body. He had thought he would not endure. His physique was never that of a top-tier alpha, Had he undergone natural differentiation, he would have emerged as a weaker alpha rather than an omega, as someone had deliberately interfered with his pheromone differentiation. After Dr. Zhou Yi spoke, a strange silence enveloped the ward. Someone attempted to speak, but no sound escaped their lips. After a lengthy pause, a hoarse voice broke the stillness. Was his previous suffering due to this? Indeed, it was akin to a vessel filled beyond its capacity. When the pheromones went awry, the pain he endured far exceeded that of an ordinary alpha by 100-fold. Have a matching omega glands been located? Xiao, and you sat quietly beside the hospital bed. I have already instructed them to search, you replied. Zhou Yi questioned him. But why are they searching for a gland that matches you? Was the information incorrect? No, Xiao, and you responded with calm assurance. You wouldn't consider sacrificing yourself to save him, would you? Zhou Yi, having known Xiao and you for so long, was acutely aware of his character. He suddenly grasped Xiao and Yu's shoulders, exclaiming, after all those years at the Imperial University, you have established a strong bond with your own gland. To transplant, an omega gland carries a mortality rate of 95%. I am aware, Xiao, and you replied, continue the search. Zhou Yi gazed at Xiao and Yu in disbelief. Do you realize the gravity of what you are saying? You do not need to jeopardize your own life. Xiao and Yu. Zhou Yi spoke heavily. I also feel for Song-Chi, but aside from the exceedingly high mortality rate, the omega gland that is compatible with you may not even stabilize him. If it fails, both of you will perish. You are casting your life into the sea like a stone. Xiao and Yu's elegantly curled eyelashes fell slightly, concealing the shattered expression within his eyes. He gently intertwined his fingers with those of the person lying on the bed, then shook his head. He wanted Song-Chi to live well, to continue being a top alpha. There were only two ways to save Song-Chi. One was to transplant a compatible omega gland, with the risk of losing his pheromones. The other was to find an omega with a high compatibility with Song-Chi, placing the omega in peril to endure the alpha's violent tendencies, allowing Song-Chi to possess him entirely for a lifetime. Xiao and Yu was not noble. He was despicable. He wished for Song-Chi to live safely as an alpha and would not allow him to have other omegas, unless he himself perished. Thus, even with the high mortality rate of transplanting an omega gland, Xiao and Yu would still choose that path. I have found an omega compatible with him. Xiao, and Yu said, a faint smile curving his pale lips. If I die, the omega will be immediately bound to the hospital room, and all subsequent matters will be of no concern to you. If he dies, then Song-Chi can be with others without feeling pain in his heart. Forcing an omega is illegal. Xiao and Yu, Zhou Yi's voice trembled. You have the Xiao family backing you. Shall we not seek another solution? But I only desire him. Xiao and Yu had donned a facade for over 20 years, and while everyone perceived him as gentle, composed, and agreeable, such notions were laughable to him. He was not as formidable as they believed. Everyone expected him to excel, to be of high caliber. Yet, what he truly desired had been clear since he turned 18. Above all else, he yearned for Song-Chi the moment he saw the little fox reveal his heart with those sparkling eyes. He was certain. He could not bear to watch Song-Chi with another. He was not that strong. The first sacrifice must be himself, even if the success rate was dismally low. If he failed, he would embrace death, erasing every trace of his existence. When the omega encountered any misfortune, all blame would fall upon Xiao and Yu, leaving Song-Chi untainted. His death could serve as a meager form of atonement. Zhou Yi tightened his grip on Xiao and Yu's shoulders, abruptly turning them around and slowly, yet resolutely concluding, you like him. The hospital room was saturated with the scent of antiseptic. The conversation between the two alphas was absurd yet hushed. No one noticed the man lying quietly in the hospital bed, his eyelashes fluttering ever so slightly. Xiao and Yu stared at him for a moment before chuckling softly. Did you just realize that? You really are quite the actor. Indeed. Xiao and Yu replied with a gentle smile. An alpha harboring feelings for his alpha deskmate. It sounds rather twisted, doesn't it? There's nothing twisted about it. It's simply a matter of feeling. Even developing affection for a mere insect is normal. Xiao and Yu shook his head lightly. There is nothing I can do about your words. Should it come to a point where I must bind an omega, I shall do my utmost to ensure no harm befalls them. Xiao, and you smiled again. If only matters were truly that simple. Nevertheless, I appreciate your concern. However, I must advise you, under the current Imperial Information Network, the disappearance of an Omega cannot be concealed. Once this matter is exposed, it would undoubtedly distress Song Qi regarding your reputation. We would be at a loss for explanations. Then let us not inform him, Xiao, and you stated. My feelings for him have nothing to do with Song Qi. I am merely his friend. What is there to regret? Only death remains, and fortunately, he has not uttered a word about it. Thankfully, I can keep this so-called affection hidden in my heart. After knowing you for so many years, it's the first time I see you so unhinged. Zhou Yi also believed that Song Qi was the type to favor Omegas and understood that Xiao and you had resigned himself to a desperate fate. Yet he still remarked, you could certainly opt for the first solution, Zhou Yi. Xiao and you, Zhou Yi called softly. This name, after several years, seemed to transport them back to their university days. Looking up, the distance felt vast, separating them by identities that were now entirely different, so far that they might have to traverse the realms of life and death. So far that Song Qi was right in front of them, yet Xiao, and you could not grasp him. Anyone who could enter the S1 class back then must have been fiercely competitive, Xiao, and you asserted, who would willingly forfeit their pheromones. Even the possibility of doing so seems unacceptable. Zoe understood. I will provide you with an answer within 2 days. This batch of sedatives will last at most 5 days. If you change your mind, you can tell me at any time. Zhou Yi released him and moved towards the door. I will strive to find alternative solutions until the hospital door closed. Xiao, and you felt a gentle pinch on his finger. He froze momentarily, as if his heart had ceased beating in that instant, instinctively trying to withdraw his hand. He stared intently at the man in the hospital bed, his body tense and trembling. The once impetuous and arrogant red-haired alpha now appeared much more composed and considerably thinner, his profile sharper and more defined. Song Qi found the act of opening his eyes to be an arduous struggle. The words that infiltrated his ears were a jumbled mess, leaving him unable to discern whether he was dreaming or had passed into the afterlife. It was not until a glimmer of light appeared before him that his gaze met Xiao and Yu's. Song Qi moved his lips slightly. The originally clasped hand of Song Qi was abruptly withdrawn. The voice of the man, more composed than it had been 6 years prior, resonated with warmth and gentleness. Upon hearing this, Xiao and you were rendered speechless. With great effort, Song Qi lifted his gaze, his lips devoid of color, and, after a pause, he managed to utter, "Little Xiao." Xiao and you exchanged a brief smile, acknowledging they had heard him. In their memories, Song Qi had never been so reticent. The weight of those 5 words, both in substance and in the trembling perception of Xiao and you, struck them profoundly. He stared anxiously at Song Qi, attempting to glean some insight from his eyes. Yet, the little fox was no longer the alpha who wore his emotions openly. His gaze was as still as a stagnant pool, devoid of ripples, as though no wind could stir it again. A sudden fear gripped Xiao and you. Song Qi declared, "I shall not choose either of the 2 paths." Silence enveloped the room. Outside, a faint exclamation of disbelief interrupted the stillness. The 2 who had initially intended to knock paused. Shen Jinyue, startled, flung the door open with a force that shattered the atmosphere within, his anger palpable as he exclaimed, "Heaven has a path, yet you refuse to tread it, Song Qi. Do not reject the kind, offer only to face punishment instead." Song Qi remained silent, and Xiao and you exchanged glances. Lu Huaiji, having failed to hold back, let the bird escape, standing at the door with his face covered, silently repenting for a moment before entering to place a fruit basket at the bedside. Song Qi appeared fatigued, and after Xiao and you offered him a sip of water, he murmured, "In truth, this path was one I chose for myself." Xiao and you, puzzled, furrowed their brows, while only Lu Huaiji seemed to comprehend. "You mean, the injection of differentiation hormones was your own decision?" "Indeed," Song Qi replied slowly. "All our alphas are top tier, and I feared being overshadowed. You placed too much pressure on yourself," came the response. "Indeed," Song Qi conceded. "Otherwise, how could I have encountered Xiao and you?" Lu Huaiji inquired, "What are these 2 paths?" After a moment's hesitation, Xiao and Yu explained. Shen Jinyue stroked his chin, objectively noting the first approach is not without merit. Not every Omega can reach the level of Brother Liu. Then what should I call you now? Shen Jinyue interjected, ensuring the atmosphere remained lively. Commander Song? Song Qi smirked slightly, shaking his head. Liu Huaiji, concluding from the exchange, queried, "Are you desiring to relinquish your life?" No sooner had the words left his lips than Song Qi felt the weight of Qiao and Yu's gaze upon him, heavy and scrutinizing. They exchanged a look before averting their eyes, with Song Qi responding, "No." "Then why do you look at Xiao and Yu? Why do you care so much about him?" Shen Jinyue, quick to divert the conversation, seized the moment. This time, not only Qiao and Yu, but even Liu Huaiji turned their attention to the two alphas. "Oh, I meant no offense," Shen Jinyue hastily clarified. "I merely noticed the atmosphere between you two when you entered. It felt reminiscent of Sui Gu and his wife nearly facing a tragic separation." The atmosphere grew even more peculiar. Liu Huaiji chimed in from behind. "Sui Su and his partner are doing quite well now." "Indeed," Shen Jinyue affirmed, "everything will be all right." Shen Jinyue discreetly leaned closer to Liu Huaiji, whispering, "Brother, these symptoms are quite similar to mine, though not as severe. We should be able to employ that method, right? I'm uncertain if I can endure it." Liu Huaiji replied earnestly, "It is certainly preferable to allow this foolish child to languish in despair." Their hushed conversation was interrupted by a knock on the ward door. A figure entered, bowing respectfully. "Commander, I am here on behalf of the organization to extend our condolences." Song Qi nodded in acknowledgement. "I have also brought your electronic communication device, as instructed." Song Qi hesitated, struggling to rise. "Hand it to me." Shen Jinyue immediately stood to retrieve the device. Placing it in Song Qi's hand, "There are secrets contained within. Do take your time." Song Qi grasped the device tightly, remaining silent. After delivering the device, the visitor exited, and Shen Jinyue returned to his seat, exchanging knowing glances with Liu Huaiji. Eventually, it was Song Qi who inquired, "Liu Ge, do you have something to say?" After a moment of contemplation, Liu Huaiji responded, "We may have a solution." Qiao and Yu's attention shifted instantly, their surprise evident, even to Shen Jinyue. However, the approach was rather extreme, rather unconventional. Liu Huaiji endeavored to articulate it reasonably. "There is no need for you to undergo an omega gland transplant, nor to seek out an omega." Qiao and Yu regained their composure, asking, "What is the cost?" Shen Jinyue cast a puzzled glance at the two. Isn't it true that they were a team at school? Why do they seem more like outsiders than he and his brother? Qiao and Yu appeared more like a couple. Was it merely his misperception? Shen Jinyue stroked his chin, injecting a sufficiently potent alpha pheromone, such as mine, will forcibly enhance your body's endurance, which will be quite painful, more so than the most agonizing moments you've experienced. However, once this phase passes, your body should be fine. Typically, one's own pheromone intensity is within the limits of physical endurance. Yet, the human body invariably has its limits. Shen Jinyue and General Shen are exceptions, having reached the pinnacle of human endurance. When faced with stronger pheromones, they risk being drained of vitality. Shen Jinyue's condition cannot be remedied by this method due to his physical limits. However, there remains potential for improvement in Song Qi. It would merely entail enduring significant pain for a time. Yet, as the saying goes, once one has encountered the heights of understanding, one fears no depths. Qiao and Yu fidgeted, seemingly wanting to speak, but ultimately refrained. After a lengthy silence, Song Qi finally said, "I will consider it. Of course, you must think it over. By the way, why don't you seek an omega? Do you have someone you favor?" Shen Jinyue asked. Liu Huaiji promptly grasped Shen Jinyue's arm, scrutinizing Qiao and Yu's expressions. Shen Jinyue noticed Song Qi glance at Qiao and Yu, and he was about to inquire further when Liu Huaiji silenced him. "Who is it that you like? I can assist you in finding them," Qiao and Yu offered. Song Qi shook his head. "No one." Fool, Liu Huaiji thought. Having only vaguely discerned Qiao's affection for Song Qi, and in his eagerness to silence Shen Jinyue, he had overlooked Song Qi's reaction. After Shen Jinyue finished speaking, Liu Huaiji took him outside. "Please take your time to consider, and feel free to contact us at any moment." Suddenly, Song Qi called out, "Brother Shen." Shen Jinyue turned around. What is the success rate? I truly have no idea, Shen Jinyue replied. It depends on your perseverance. After all, my ancestors succeeded. Otherwise, I wouldn't even exist. Soon, Lu Huaiji and Shen Jinyue departed, leaving only Qiao Hiyu and Song Qi in the room. What are your thoughts? Qiao Hiyu inquired. Instead of responding, Song Qi asked, "Do you really like me?" His voice lacked strength, barely conveying the meaning of his question. If you don't want to, then don't. How could I not want to? Didn't you say before that you didn't like my type of alpha? Song Qi smiled, recalling many years back. It was peculiar. Despite his poor memory, he recalled vividly the time when Qiao Hiyu claimed not to fancy his kind of alpha. He remembered feeling heartbroken for a long time. How could he have gone back on his word? Song Qi admitted that before being saved by Qiao Hiyu, he had given up on living. He felt he had seen the best of Qiao Hiyu and contributed a negligible amount to the empire. He owed no one anything. He thought Qiao Hiyu would eventually come to terms with it. However, Qiao Hiyu's recent words struck Song Qi like heavy hammers, leaving him breathless, more painful than ever. Once, Song Qi had wished for Qiao Hiyu to contradict himself regarding his feelings. But now things had changed. Qiao Hiyu could not dwell on him forever. People change. Qiao Hiyu simply replied. Who could predict what the future holds? Just like the year they graduated, Qiao Hiyu believed Song Qi would abandon him. He had pondered many possibilities, yet never considered the chance that Song Qi might leave. Indeed, people change, Song Qi echoed. He thought everyone would evolve, but Qiao Hiyu surprisingly remained steadfast. How profound must his affection be to remember for so many years? A flicker of desire to continue living emerged within him. Extra, an alternate scenario featuring Qiao Hiyu and Song Qi, he version. A brief introduction to the characters Yan Zhe and Yu is included at the end. In recent days, Song Qi spent much of his time asleep. When he occasionally awoke, he felt utterly powerless or was gripped by excruciating pain. Qiao Hiyu would visit the hospital every day, staying with him for long hours. Song Qi reviewed everything he had recorded over the years on his electronic communication ring, which contained accounts of his training and memories of sitting next to Qiao Hiyu in class. He meticulously perused each entry, examining every word repeatedly. With only one day left of the 5-day period given by Zhou Yi, Song Qi still had not provided his decision. Qiao Hiyu wished to continue executing his plan, but Song Qi saw through it. Grasping Qiao Hiyu's hand, he said, "If you truly like me, you must respect my choice." He added, "I have no desire to become an Omega." Qiao Hiyu watched as Song Qi grew increasingly pained and silent each day. After yet another restless slumber, Song Qi awoke with less than 6 hours remaining until the final deadline. In the dim light, Zhou and Yu sat by the bedside, holding his wristband, tears streaming down their faces. Several droplets clung to Zhou and Yu's curled eyelashes, trembling with each movement. The wristband screen displayed Song Qi's crooked diary entries. One line particularly set apart, "I like Zhou and Yu." Zhou and Yu stared at the screen for an eternity. Song Qi gazed at Zhou and Yu for a long time as well. It was only when Zhou and Yu, awakening from a dreamlike state, wiped away their tears that they noticed Song Qi had regained consciousness. With a gentle smile, Song Qi remarked, "You discover my secret. Why didn't I say it earlier?" Zhou and Yu's voice trembled. "Why didn't you say it sooner? I'm an alpha. I should be strong. I cannot be a burden to the one I love." Song Qi turned his gaze towards the window and reflected. "Do you know? The first time I saw you at 18, I thought, how could someone be so beautiful? I even asked others, is that Zhou and Yu? Why are they so stunning? So captivating that I felt I would love you for a lifetime." Zhou and Yu's throat constricted, leaving them speechless. Song Qi had so much to express tonight, and Zhou and Yu did not interrupt, merely listening intently to every word, eventually turning away to shed tears. "Don't cry." Song Qi gently consoled him. Zhou and Yu's hand resting on the bedside was grasped by a cool hand. "Do you want me to live?" Song Qi inquired. Zhou and Yu could not articulate a response and simply nodded. Of course, he wanted him to live. For the past 5 days, every moment had been filled with that desire. "Then let us try. Stay with me," Song Qi said. Over these 5 days, he had not only contemplated, but also yearned to see more of Zhou and Yu. He did not want Zhou and Yu to slip away from him too soon. Should he fail? He felt a bit greedy, wanted to savor more moments with Zhou and Yu. If we succeed, we shall be together, Song Qi declared. I like you. All right, Zhou and Yu quickly dialed Lu Huaiji. After the call ended, Song Qi stated, if we fail then. Zhou and Yu's pleading gaze met Song Qi's. Do not say it. No, I must say this, Song Qi replied. You are my favorite person. If we fail, do not be sad. Forget me and find an Omega you adore. Also, remember to tell Brother Lu and Brother Shen not to blame themselves. Zhou and Yu was left speechless, only able to pray for success. If they succeeded, he longed to kiss his little fox, to reclaim the kiss they missed at their university graduation. Even if they failed, he wished for that too. When Shen Jinyue received the call, Lu Huaiji was still asleep. He sprang up, seizing Lu Huaiji's phone to answer. Oh my goodness, I was just thinking that if you disagree, my brother and I will head to the hospital to give Song Qi a piece of our minds. Lu Huaiji also opened his eyes, listening to their conversation. Is the decision made? My brother and I are on our way. Wait for us for 5 minutes. After Shen Jinyue hurriedly finished communicating, he turned to Lu Huaiji. Come on, brother, transform into a rabbit. I'll carry you over. When they arrived, Zhou and Yu and Song Qi were holding hands. Goodness gracious, Shen Jinyue exclaimed. I told you when my brother and I are enemies, kisses and hugs are absolutely no problem. Now I shall begin. Endure this, and it will no longer hurt in the future. Time was of the essence, and without delay, Shen Jinyue commenced the suppression of Song Qi's pheromones under Lu Huaiji's guidance. The repulsion between alphas was palpable. In such circumstances, the veins on Song Qi's forehead throbbed, clearly enduring immense pain. Yet, he refrained from uttering a single cry. Xiao, and you gently clasped Song Qi's hand. This arduous process persisted for a full 30 minutes, during which Shen Jinyue broke into a cold sweat while retracting the pheromones. However, Song Qi felt a significant alleviation almost instantly. This was merely the first day, with 2 more to follow, each predicted to be more excruciating than the last. Shen Jinyue stated, in the next 2 days, you must completely dismantle your defenses against my pheromones. My strength has surged to 100. Controlling the pheromones is well within my capability, as long as you can endure the pain. I have unwavering confidence in my abilities. Gasping for breath, Song Qi replied, all right. At this juncture, Shen Jinyue finally had the opportunity to gesture towards the intertwined hands of Qiao and Yu and remarked with a knowing look, oh, in unison, the two echoed, I like him. Oh dear, liking someone is splendid, isn't it? Liking? Shen Jinyue's eyes widened in astonishment as he glanced between them and Lu Huaiji, exclaiming, brother, you are aware of this pair as well? You've kept this from me for so long. Lu Huaiji replied, this time, I genuinely had no idea. I only knew about Sui and Professor Yin. Songji, in a considerably improved state compared to previous days, remarked, is there another pair concealing their relationship from me? Xiao, and you tightened their grip on Song Qi's hand, affirming, it's Sui and Professor Yin. You must not have heard much during your secret training. Sui, how splendid. And Professor Yin? Song Qi's reaction surpassed even that of Shen Jinyue. The latter appeared quite satisfied. The subsequent 2 days indeed brought escalating pain, with Song Qi's fingers digging deeply into flesh. Noticing this, Qiao and Yu would ensure that Song Qi held onto his arm at the start of each session. Despite Song Qi's insistence that it was unnecessary, Qiao and Yu insisted otherwise, expressing his desire to share some of the burden of pain. Perhaps after enduring for so many years, Song Qi had developed a commendable threshold for endurance. Remarkably, he refrained from crying out during the 3 days, managing to persevere. As Shen Jinyue withdrew the pheromones, he clapped his hands, finally beholding a lively Song Qi once more. Thanks to your relentless training over the years, let us maintain this momentum, Shen Jinyue said with a sigh of relief. Before Song Qi could respond, a cacophony of voices erupted at the door, which was knocked upon by several individuals. Shen Jinyue exclaimed, are they lying in wait for us? Zhou Yi, clad in a white coat, led the charge, followed by a throng of former S1 class members. A sea of heads, more than 30, filled the room, making the SVP ward feel somewhat cramped. Ahem, family members. Please maintain silence, and do not disturb the patient's rest. Zhou Yi cleared his throat in a doctor-like manner. Oh, spare us, Zhou Yi, Xie Hui retorted. Your comment makes it sound as if our class is engaged in cosplay, when in reality, we are merely a group of newly adult college students. From the back of the crowd, Qi Tingshuang emerged, donning sunglasses and exuding a star-like aura. He adjusted his shades and quipped, So, little fox, how have you been? You didn't dare to disturb me the past few days. How is your health? Wonderful, Julie wonderful. The crowd, vibrant and lively, enveloped him. Xiao, and you nearly found themselves squeezed out. I hear it's been just you two accompanying him these days. Your relationship remains as strong as ever. I see. Of course. It is. Song Chi chuckled, brushing aside one of the hands that reached for him, playfully suggesting, who knows, perhaps marriage lies ahead. Xiao, and you responded. There's no perhaps about it. Shen Hui interjected, astonished, really? Qi Tingshuang was equally bewildered, while only Zhou Yi stood by, unfazed, remarking, Are you all blind? Can't you see what's obvious? A punch was playfully exchanged. After a lengthy commotion in the hospital room, Zhou Yi, considering Song Qi's recent recovery, kindly asked the group to disperse. Shen Jinyue insisted that the two confess their mutual crushes, stubbornly pulling Lu Huaiji to stay. Moments later, the door to the ward was knocked upon again. This time, the newcomers entered with a more subdued demeanor, as Sui Su entered, clutching a bouquet of flowers. Accompanied by Yan Ziyu. Time had wrought significant changes upon them. Each person, once a bewildered college student, had transformed into a mature adult. Sui Su had undergone the most remarkable transformation, shedding his carefree demeanor, now exuding an unparalleled presence. Yan Ziyu, however, appeared unchanged, her expression still placid. After inquiring about Song Qi's condition, she fell silent. Did I hear that you two are together? Should I amend the decree forbidding marriage between alphas? Sui Su spoke, his tone unchanged from before. With Brother Sui backing me, I feel emboldened, Song Qi replied with a smile. Sui Su turned to Shen Jinyue. Are you truly not going to assist me? Spending all day tinkering with your high-tech gadgets at home? Shen Jinyue chuckled. I've always enjoyed dismantling devices since childhood. Yan Ziyu glanced at the wounds on Xiao and Yu's arms, seemingly lost in thought, and a faint smile graced her lips. Everything will be fine. Lu Huaiji added, indeed. When life transforms into an unpredictable gamble, one buries all their essence deep within, until love flourishes, fervently fermenting. All the affections of the universe will reunite, not in mountains or rivers, nor in clouds or moons, but beneath the radiant moonlight. Little Xiao, I am not jesting. The moment I realized my capacity for love, I knew I wanted to cherish you for a lifetime. And thus concludes the alternate ending for Little Xiao and Little Fox's narrative. Whenever joy strikes, revisit the confessions of the two earlier characters, and when sorrow visits, come here to witness their delightful togetherness, laughing heartily. Furthermore, as I previously mentioned, many wives were unable to locate the introduction for Sui Su and Professor Yen. So I shall post it here once more. I am particularly clever. Introduction. Sui Su and Yan Ziyu. Once a reckless and carefree nobleman, now a powerful and formidable chancellor, the White Peacock Alpha, known for his cool and regal beauty, and the esteemed commander, Qing Wan Omega. Dual protagonists in an interstellar ABO narrative, featuring a younger Omega disguised as an Alpha, entangled in redemption. Set in the 18th century of the star calendar. The Sui family's influence was immense, practically monopolizing the chancellorship, rendering the royal family a mere puppet. The second son of the chancellor was hailed as the most potent alpha in Sui family history, causing a stir upon entering the imperial university. The rebellious youth, Sui Su, exhibits a defiance that leaves all his teachers apprehensive, with the exception of Yan Ziyu, who has recently taken office and is renowned for her breathtaking beauty and resolute demeanor. It is well known that Yan Ziyu is a woman of few words, and Sui Su is equally challenging to manage. When these two formidable forces collide, it seems inevitable that the Imperial Academy will face turmoil. Upon first laying eyes on the stunningly aloof professor, Sui Su momentarily froze. prompting his friend to adopt an elevated state of alert. Murder is a crime. Suisu inquired, what about family? His friend gasped, what? You intend to harm your family? Such treachery. Suppressing the urge to bury his friend in the ground and douse him in cola, Suisu stepped forward and, with a rhythmic intonation, called out to Yin Ziyu, sister. His expression was earnest as he earnestly asked, may I kiss you? Later, Suisu would discover that this beautiful and frigid professor was once the sharpest sword of the Federation, the chief commander of the Federation, a true peacock. She is an enchanting yet distant flower, embodying both strength and tragedy. For those intrigued, I invite you to anticipate the unfolding of this narrative. You may also wish to follow my updates, as the tale of our little peacock and Professor Yin may soon blossom into something delightful. Unless there is a pressing demand from my readers, there are unlikely to be any additional side stories for this book. Furthermore, dear readers, why have the 5-star reviews ceased? In light of the over 8,000 words in this side story, I would greatly appreciate your support with a 5-star rating. As I aspire for this book to reach a score of 95, please lend me your assistance.